everybody first.
Cheers.
All right, so we're gonna get right into it. Like the first question we're talking about, your stage name, why you chose it. Let's get right into that so we can segue into introduction of you.
Okay. So there's multiple parts to this answer. So firstly, I had probably a solid half dozen or more other monikers before I got around to the Fatboy, which I'm now changing to Fat for legal and copyright purposes and all that good stuff. But before that, I was Midas Ken, I was Romero, I was Dirty Rascal, I was Big Truth. Like, there were quite a few of them.
Like Big Truth.
I lit up on the Fatboy. At the time, it was unique. Everybody wasn't Fat this and Fat that. Like, you had Fat Joe. And other than that, you had, like, Notorious B.I.G., Heavy D. But, you didn't really have, like, Fat Chris and Fat Trail and, Fatboy SSE. So, like, Fat wasn't really a thing at the time. So I kind of was going more from a marketing standpoint. It was also from a Bruce Wayne Batman standpoint, because I was always kind of low-key, nervous about my weight, getting up on stage and everything, what people would think. And I kind of just decided to lean heavy into it. You know what I mean? If they're going to call me fat when I get on stage anyway, I might as well just be fat and rock the hell out. You know what I mean? So, and then there's the kind of historic reference to it, which the two atomic bombs that were dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki were Fat Man and Little Boy.
Okay.
And so when you combine that force, that impact, you know what I mean, you get Fat Boy. So
that's incredible.
You're different.
There's different. You pull from all kinds of different directions
There's
to
layers,
concoct that. So when did you find out you had to kind of figure out something else for copyright reasons?
I always kind of suspected it to start with. I feel like even then there was like a producer or something like that named Fatboy. But then, like I said, kind of the proliferation of the whole fat thing, and so now when I go and you try to search the Fatboy, you still kind of get like Fatboy Slim, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Fatboy Motorcycle from Harley Davidson, you know what I mean? So
the branding is difficult.
Right, you know what I mean? So, but what really kind of was a catalyst, I went to a Foundation of Music masterclass is what it's called, by DJ Chuck T. And he kind of got into more of the business. You should definitely check him out. He's incredible info. But he kind of got more into like trademarks, LLC, all that good stuff. And we even did it on the spot. We went to the website, and he was like, what are some of y'all names? Let's look them up. Check and see if anybody else has a trademark with the. So of course, I raised my hand, participate and everything, and he was, as soon as I was saying my name, he already, because we've spoken off, a little bit,
right.
Here and there, but as soon as I was like, okay, yeah, do mine, he was like, oh, I already know, you can hang it up, yours is up there. So from really that was kind of like the big push to go ahead and
when
go
was
over
that?
there. That was top of this year.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
The new name, is it spelled any special way?
No, it'll just be Fat. And even in that case, it was, it's not without its flaws, but far less flaws, especially as far as musicians go. There aren't too many. I think there was like one other guy.
Okay.
I didn't do too heavy a research, but I didn't find too many hits on that person. So
just like all capital.
Yep, all caps. I'm gonna go without the periods in between. Okay. I'm just gonna go.
So just fat, not FAT.
Right.
Gotcha. I can relate, man. I'm a rapper named Marshall, so I can definitely relate.
I saw something. I don't know if it was the same class that you were talking about, but he asked somebody, and I can't remember who it was, like, how much money will it take for me to get into the business? Yeah. Was that the same class?
So what he did was, that's the Hornets Music Industry.
Okay.
And Music Industry Night. And that was actually at the Spectrum
right.
Spectrum Center in Charlotte, where the Hornets play and everything. And That was kind of just more like a conference,
Okay.
kind of. We're just a bunch of other artists, and it was a great networking opportunity. I mean, passing out cards and respect.
Did you go that too?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Because I saw Westerfer had put something about that night, and then I saw the video of the DJ, but I didn't put two and two together. I just assumed it was a class like you were talking about, which is good. But we'll segue into that. How important it is for you to go to these classes or conferences, and what has it propelled you in your career?
It's massive. I mean, you got to pick and choose them. I definitely went to one in Greensboro a couple years ago where like they had a line and I'm standing out in the rain and and you get in there and it's just kind of like 1,000 artists crammed on stage and you get like 2 seconds to perform and they're just shooing you off and bringing the next guy on. And I don't know. But a lot of them, you can gain some knowledge. You can definitely network, especially if you have other skills or other hobbies or whatever that like I do graphic design, so that helps from a different standpoint. If you're a photographer, that's a big, you can get in and take pictures and, people love the camera, especially at those kinds of events. So that's a lot of the ways that I kind of, will get in and actually start the networking process. If I go in with my camera, it's like, hey, let me get a shot. And, you know how it is.
Yeah.
Once you get some pictures.
Yeah, people love it because that's why I started doing the cameras, because I look back, I touched on this a little bit, but I would look back when I was in Europe and I was doing these tours, and I would, it was right as the age of digital was starting, 2004, 5. And I look back and I had 0 pictures of me on stage. It was like me afterwards or me beforehand or, a drunk picture here and there. But it was never me like in the moment, what I need for my portfolio, what I need to prove to people, look, this is what I was doing. And that's when I started taking it, it's serious with me. And then meeting up with the artists that I would work with, I would make sure that I had the camera on all times, because it does pave that road. Because there's a million rappers, but there's not a million rappers that can do X, Y, Z,
different layers,
and A, B, C. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of your approach. What you've been doing with these conferences is kind of like,
and I'll go in. I go in to learn, you know what I mean? Like a lot of the times when I go somewhere like that, it's not even necessarily to network. That's just kind of an added bonus because there's other people that are like-minded and are in the same industry, you know what I mean? But I just go in there to see what kind of information I can glean from, from the topic at hand. Like that one that you were saying, the video about where he was asking the DJ and you find out the price and everything. I mean, there were, they were talking about, I think they briefly touched on like business credit, you know what I mean? Like I like the meat of that kind of stuff, you know what I mean? But it's super important because some of that stuff kind of inspires me to do things as well, because I like, it's cool to get help, but at the same time, it's cool to also be able to help other people. And so through kind of various means, especially throughout this year, I've kind of started looking more into like the mental health aspect of music. You know what I mean? I
like
realize
therapy or
not even necessarily like as therapy, but as for example, like staying motivated as an artist, that kind of thing. Just kind of mental health for musicians. You know what I mean? Just kind of ways to
combat the fatigue.
Yeah, you know what I mean? That kind of thing. And I just started touching on it, but it's something that you go online and you search the how-tos of being an artist, and you'll get like, how to get your LLC and how to promote on Facebook and, how to mix and master. Like you'll get all the stuff on like the technique of it or how to, but you don't get a lot of how to keep your mind straight when, you just got screwed over by a scam artist that claimed to be a record label or something like that. You know what I mean?
Which is big. It's big.
Yeah. Like how to fight that doubt.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Because it gets hard. Like even and even for like big time mainstream celebrity artists, I like to touch on like one of the things I talk about is like or that I've been talking about more is the passion. Of music, you know what I mean? Having the passion for music, whether it's a hobby or whether you're trying to pursue it as a career, just love it, enjoy it, you know what I mean? And you even need that passion even if you blow up. You know what I mean? If you blow up tomorrow and you go from working your 9 to 5 and coming home and recording in your home studio and, you know, going to shows, but now you're, you know, performing 3 weeks out of the month and 8 months out of the year, and people screaming your name, and you have all these obligations, and you have to follow the schedule, and you got people, you know, expecting you to pay them money back and all that stuff. Do you still have the passion to keep doing that? Because that's going to be just as overwhelming as when you put your heart and soul into it and don't get a single view. You know what I mean?
That's true. So, very true.
Yeah.
Very true. That's a good aspect that people need to be aware of. Because I mean, you look at some of the mainstream artists. You know, just look at, you know, somebody like Justin Bieber. The amount of pressure he's always been under. You know, as a kid. You know, and you know that's. You know, thankfully he's not really been in a lot of trouble here and there, but like, you know, it's got to have taken its toll, and you can see it through different pictures and videos and things like that. And you know they're getting counseling, but how are you going to get that fit? How are you going to fit that into 8 months out of the year of performing?
And you know, what always goes hand in hand with the music industry is what? Drug use.
Yep.
You know, overdoses,
sex, drugs,
lack of
violence,
sleep, sex, drugs, violence. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, how many musicians over the decades have we lost to, you know, an overdose or suicide? You know, so it's definitely a different part of it. It's good that you're shining light on it. For sure.
And all that comes from, you know, just various experiences like classes and stuff like that. Like it you know, I take the business stuff of it. You know, that's a lot of what I go in for, so I can learn more about the business and the especially marketing. That kind of confounds me, so I'm trying to learn as much as I can about that. But out of that, you know what I mean, kind of comes, and then like you said, the stuff that you see like in the media and stuff all the time, like that kind of comes down to like, so, you know, we know how to promote, you know what I mean, but do we know how to not drink ourselves to death because, you know, it's gotten kind of crazy, so, you know, so, yeah.
Some of the bigger acts that we would have shows with, I remember like Chris Webby. You know, when he was starting to really get big, we would see him at the beginning of his career partying all the time. You know, he was just into it. He was drinking with us. He was having fun with us. And then as he grew, we would still do shows with him. Then he would have like a coach with him. Make sure he's drinking the water. Make sure he's doing this. Making sure he's not doing the things he was doing. You know, which, you know, kind of is like a coach that you need. Like a Jiminy Cricket type thing is what we need, because we definitely can't afford, hey, let's bring a coach with us and help us, or we wouldn't listen to the motherfucker to begin with. We'd be like, hey, what are you thinking? But yeah, that's definitely an aspect that needs to be very, very well out of the stigma, under the scope of things. So we are ASHEBORO Undecided. This is the name of the show. So it's pretty much a podcast for a city that doesn't really quite know itself yet. Okay. That's kind of what this is. It's really I have a very deep love-hate relationship with this place. And through the means of talking with people, we want to kind of find out what their perspective is on ASHEBORO. So what brought you, what landed you in ASHEBORO?
So, okay, just to answer that part, what landed me in ASHEBORO honestly was hard times.
Okay.
I was living in Durham. Everything just kind of started falling apart. There was one point where I was working 3 jobs, and they were all like part-time crap jobs, like Dollar Tree or whatever, and still wasn't, you know. And this was right around the time where Durham had started kind of, gentrifying a little bit, and so prices for places that were. There were some places that were like known, like drug dens and stuff like that were going for like outrageous prices for rent. And I mean, you know, we struggled for a while, but after a while the bottom fell out, and it was like, you know, we got to bust a move. So my mom actually had lived here. She's been living here for years and years. And so I came and crashed on her couch for a month until I got an apartment, and, you know, I've been in ASHEBORO ever since. So, you know, ASHEBORO started out as a necessity. But it's evolved. I have probably a similar love-hate relationship. You know, I love the atmosphere. The people are generally friendly. I mean, you know what you're getting. You know what I mean? It's a good American town. You know, I don't have to worry about my kid getting snatched up. I mean, it can happen anywhere, of course, but
Right.
it's that kind of thing. You know, Asheboro's a nice town. You know what I mean? Not the most entertaining place. You know what I mean? But
Right.
they can't all be jams.
Was your mother? Does your mother have ties here, or she just kind of found herself here
Yeah,
as
I
well?
think she just kind of found her way here. I'm not exactly sure how she, because she's done quite a bit more traveling than I have. She's originally from Shelby, out near Charlotte.
Yeah.
But you know, she's gone to different parts of the state and different parts of the country and everything. So, so I'm not sure how she came about Asheboro, but she's been here. I mean, 10 years or more. You know what I mean? So.
And where are you from originally?
I'm originally from Greensboro.
From Greensboro.
So I'm not from far, you know what I
Yeah,
mean? I went from Greensboro and then I moved to Durham and then moved to Asheboro. So
I remember as soon as I like posted the first thing about like you, Zelinsky had like reached out to me. He was like, "This is a good dude. You know, look after him if he's in your city and things like that." So I remember him saying that, bringing those ties to Greensboro to you.
yeah.
But
Zelinsky's a good dude. I came up listening to him, Dana Lucci. I learned so much from Dana Lucci,
Right.
you know what I mean? But yeah, Zelinsky, Dana Lucci, they were probably them and Brandon D.
Yeah.
And
Tigo B.
yeah, and Hot Now.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that was that era where I was like really starting to get heavy into hip hop. Like I was into it, but this was really when I was like, I want to kind of pursue this as a career. And those were the guys that I saw that were local that like you could see their CDs in the record stores, and I remember seeing Brandon D's the van that he had wrapped riding around town. Dana Lucci had the double or the triple album. Yeah, like that was the kind of stuff that I came up on. Those were the guys that I saw that made me like, yo, there are people, you know, in my city that are really doing the stuff that you normally would see on TV. This was before the internet was popping.
Yeah,
like
early 2000, well, late 90s,
late 90s, early 2000s.
Early 2000. Because I remember I was growing up, I would work on cars, and I would test drive cars, and one time, so I was like, this CD is dope as hell. And I was like bobbing my head, and I was really up on the hip hop. This is when I was in Boone, and I would come home for the weekends and summers. So I didn't really know the scene here in 2000.
Okay.
So I was like, this is some really good music. I ejected it, and I had Zelinsky with that green shirt on. I was like, Zelinsky, I've never heard of this. Put it back, took a picture of it, put it back in there, and then lo and behold, like it was less than a year, I met him. And I knew who he was, and then after that, you know, we've progressively known each other for a long time, which is, you know, another light that needs to be shined with what you just spoke about, you know, with mental health and hip hop and music. It could help people.
Hell yeah.
So, you are watching or listening to Asheboro Undecided, filmed in downtown Asheboro at Heart's Core Art Store. We appreciate you, and we also want to encourage you to subscribe, like, share, and comment on our content. Or general word of mouth would really help us out a lot. This is season 1. We're almost done filming season 2 at this point, and we really have a lot of plans for the future seasons. So anything that you can do can help. We appreciate you. Keep listening or watching. We'll hit back to Asheboro in a little bit. So your journey, like I said, your journey doesn't necessarily have to mean from artist perspective, but just your journey when you, I guess, started finding yourself as you. When did that kind of start? When you coming of age, I guess, is.
I really want to say college. I went to Durham Technical Community College, and I want to say my first semester there, I had kind of made a conscious decision that I'm going to come out of a shell that I had previously been in, which I had already kind of peeked my head out of the shell, but that was the year I was like, you know, I'm going to be more outgoing. I'm going to talk to more people, because I was going for mass communication. So I was like, no better opportunity for me to kind of flex my communication chops than actually like communicating with people, whereas I was normally kind of quiet, maybe hang out in the back, so that was kind of the beginning, I think. And then by the time I was finished with that, I think a big change honestly was when me and my ex broke up, my baby mom, when we split up. I kind of went on like this, and this was years after that, after college. And I kind of went on this kind of self-improvement kick for a little bit, you know what I mean? Where I was like, well, what are some ways that I can improve the way I look? What are some ways that I can improve my health? What are some ways that I can improve my mindset? What are some ways, just kind of really just trying to improve myself, mainly for my son, because after she left, I knew, I was going to have to really kind of, solidify for his sake. And that's come a long way, but I think now I'm to a point where I had somewhat crawled back into that shell a little bit, because there was a point where like I would be out, especially in Durham, and I say in Durham I didn't have anything to offer but a notebook full of rhymes, but I would still be out with my posters, putting them up on the phone poles, and stickers at the gas station, standing outside selling CDs. And different stores and stuff. And now the reason I say I kind of crawled back into a shell is because now like I'm a little more self-conscious about releases and everything. And this it's strange to me when I think about it, because it's like that at that time I would have been up talking to strangers in front of the store, passing them a flyer, and and now you can put up ads online practically anonymously, and it's still like, I don't know, because a million people will see it, and but I feel like maybe I'm overthinking it, so I'm trying to get back to where I was, but also I'm trying to get back to where I was because like I used to be more of a nerd, you know what I mean, anime and comic books, and but you start to hit stages and studio sessions and video shoots, and something's kind of got to give. So that kind of gave. So I want to, I don't even own a video game system, and I like grew up on video games, and so got to get back to that.
It's ironic how that happens, because the more you seem to be able to offer the world, the more you kind of pull yourself back in that shell. I think that's human nature. Like, we were talking about this not too long ago about how, all the times that I traveled the world, like feeling like I could do this, and then now at this age, I'm like, there's no way. Yeah. There's no way. Like you're talking about, like
there is though.
There is, but like we just got to figure it out, get it out of your, get it out of the system. About like this is not. I'm stronger than I was, even though you think it's you always think that you might have been stronger before, but you're stronger now.
Yeah,
that's how that's another human nature type thing.
So you look back and say, well, if I did it then, I can do it now.
Right.
I would ask. So you had to make a conscious effort to like change how outgoing you were?
Yeah.
Like you switched over to an extrovert? How do you do that?
I won't say switch all the way over to an extrovert, because I am very much, I like to be at home. Especially nowadays where like stepping outside your door costs $200. You know what I mean? You haven't even gotten in the car.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, but at the same time, I was very much, couldn't talk in a crowd full of people. I could perform, but that was literally it. Like you're walking in, in the back of the room until it's time to go up on stage, and then you're on stage, and then you're like inching towards the door.
Yeah.
So, I really had to. So that's kind of where I started, because again, I started out, I was a nerd, you know what I mean? I was nervous about my weight. There's a lot of different factors there that I was really just like, in order to do what I want to do as an artist, you know what I mean? I can't be sheepish and reserved and hanging out in the back of the class, hoping that somebody notices me the one time I get on stage for 15 minutes. You know what I mean? You got to go and network. You got to talk to people. You got to make relationships. So I was like, that was why I was like, what can I take in college that would kind of correspond with that? And, mass communication was big for like radio personalities, journalism, stuff like that. And I was like, it's not exactly what I'm going into, but I definitely could use these skills. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
I know.
Work.
When I started, really pursuing music hard, my goal was always I'm gonna have as many fans in here before I even hit the stage. So maybe it was kind of the same way.
Something like that, except I was too chicken shit to go and make the fans. You know what I mean? To go and talk to. Now I'll go in. I got a pocket full of wristbands, and I'm.
Bingo.
Hey, I'm.
Yep.
I'm performing tonight. Check me out. If you love it, you love it. If you don't, you don't. Hey, you got Instagram.
Yep.
Hey, check me out. I do graphics. Like I can actually go and work a room. But I also say that rent is my subscription fee to stay my ass right at home. So there's still that introversion in there. I can't get away from it.
Are there any actionables that you would give someone who's just starting out on how to come out of that shell? Because that is very tough, and I was the same way when I first started. I didn't want to talk to anybody. So is there any actionables that someone could take?
The first thing I think probably the first big lesson that I learned from it, that I took from it, is everybody's not a jerk. Most people are nice people, you know what I mean? And even if they're not nice, they're not a jerk. They might be having a bad day, or they might not feel like talking. Everybody's a human. Every now and again you'll come across a straight up asshole, but most people, and at first I kind of felt like that, and I'm like, oh man, I'm in a room full of other artists, they're probably all
hating,
big headed, and you know what I mean?
Right.
But you go around and it might be something as small as you're just sitting there and you're watching the show, and somebody comes by and they're like, man, these guys are pretty hot. That's dope. And now you're having a music conversation with somebody that's like-minded. So after a while I learned, just by talking to different people and meeting different people and everything, everybody's not a jerk. So, especially coming from being an introvert, if you're watching this right now, everybody's not a jerk. Talk to people, take it case by case. You know what I mean?
That's really good advice, honestly.
Personally, I've never, I don't intentionally do either or, but I have never been that person to go and talk to everybody, and I always wish I was. You know what I'm saying? But just, I get to chit-chatting with people that I know too much. And I'm in that circle, and I don't really expand myself into the other. It's
I do the same thing.
It's a terrible habit. It started because I was like, I don't want to fucking talk to these people. Yeah. Because that's that's really the mentality hip hop started with. You got these local hip hop shows, and you're like, it's always not always. It's gotten better, and it's evolved into something much more beautiful.
Yes.
But just 5-10 years ago, it's like in a room full of competition.
Yeah. Every artist booked is the best rapper alive. I remember going to I don't remember the place, but I remember a handful of times, giving out CDs, just giving them out, and other cats being upset, following me around, following me to the car, saying you cutting it. They're gonna get the CD from you. They're not gonna buy one from me. I'm like, well, fuck you.
Right.
So it gets to that point where I never wanted to talk to anybody, my crew in there, and then that has become a habit for me to where I really go into a show and I just talk to the people that I know. And it's kind of not an enlightenment period right now, but I'm just now showing myself that this is it. I'm just now realizing this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's actually a good actionable. He was asking for actionable. That's a good actionable. Start with the people you know. When you first walk into the venue, especially, I go a lot of places by myself. You know what I mean? And when you first walk in, it might be a little daunting to just go up to the first random that you've never met before and just strike up an entertaining conversation. But maybe you've seen the DJ at shows before, and you can go and just kind of start there. Or, maybe another artist that is at the show, and you can kind of just start there and chit-chat with a couple people and kind of get it going. Once you get, some jokes and stuff going with some people that maybe you'll feel a little more eased up to go and, chit chat with some random people. So that's a good. Yeah, that's a good point.
One of the tricks that I use is if you go and you don't know anyone there, find a shirt that you like. It's the easiest icebreaker.
Amazing,
easiest icebreaker. You go, somebody's gonna be wearing a shirt you like, whether it's a band or something. You go up and be like, man, love your shirt, and boom. That's a easy one there.
Yeah,
use that. Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, use that.
But I'm thinking like it's too late.
It's not too late. It's never too late.
I don't have enough time anymore.
It's never too late, man.
Now I'll still be stuck in the going to talk to people because
where I get caught up on it is I'm like, man, like all my successes come from going somewhere and speaking to people.
Yeah.
But now, like when you are headlining a show or something, or you're hosting a show, you feel an obligation. Like, man, these people came out to see me. I got to go spend some time with them.
Yeah.
And that's where that's where I have kind of a issue. That's where I mess up, and I'll fall in that same bad habit where I'm only speaking to the people who already know me.
Right.
You know, but it's all in my head because I know they'd understand if I went and spoke to other people.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
but I just did that same thing Sunday.
Yeah.
I just did the same thing last Sunday.
Yeah.
Like 70 people in there I could have been speaking to. I was only speaking to the people that I know. It's a bad habit. I gotta go find more T-shirts.
Speaking of T-shirts, your Ninja Bread man.
Oh man, I love that.
I do too. That's probably my favorite design that you have created thus far. I don't think I've seen each and every one of the designs you've ever made.
Well, that's the latest one. I only did. This is the first Christmas one, and it came out pretty good. And I'm just now starting to get into like digital coloring, drawing, shading, that kind of thing.
Okay.
I'm like a traditional sketch pad and pencil kind of guy. So that one came out really good. So yeah, I'm enjoying the Ninja Bread Man. Fun fact: he actually started out as a villain for I wanted to be a comic book star, and so he was one of my villains in the comic book, and he's definitely real gingerbread man size. But he's super dangerous. The little bag that he has in the picture is like an interdimensional portal. It's like a pocket dimension, and he can pull out a whole cache full of weapons.
It's amazing.
It's
This
incredible.
is short film stuff.
It's amazing, man.
Yeah.
You gotta see that.
It's
Please expand on that as every year goes by.
Yeah.
Keep doing something. Keep doing something with him. Create his backstory. We probably already have, but just keep elaborating on it, and then pitch that to somebody.
Oh, yeah,
and that would be fun.
Right.
You got a merch store?
I'm thefatboy.com/merch. And I have some that's up there. I have my Heartbreak shirts. These caps are up there with the logo on there. I got some other ones. I'm gonna be dropping some new ones. I'm taking a page from Ruger's book, and I'm trying to have a merch tie-in with my music drops next year.
Yeah.
And so I've got some stuff. I've got at least a couple of them ready for next year. But I'm, like I was telling you guys when I came in, I'm really trying to get the content up because I just started with the whole Reels thing. I really just started trying to get more into that. And it's tough even just making one a day. You know what I mean? And just editing and, adding in the words and trying to come up with a great idea that's funny or entertaining or whatever, informative, whatever.
I need to start with Reels. I've been trying to do a TikTok every day, and straight up, if I don't have any ideas, I'll just go out and shoot the sky.
Yeah. Oh,
and
yeah.
I'm I say posting low effort TikToks.
Yeah.
Part 47. I can't think of anything else. I'll do that.
Yeah.
I'm boom.
I put up one, I want to say it was last Sunday or the Sunday before that, and it used the one that's a picture as a reel, don't mind if I do.
Yeah.
And I put that up, and the caption was it's Sunday, and I'm helping somebody move today, so here's your daily algorithm.
Yeah. Exactly. I got to get on my reels, though. I do got to get on my reels.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, it's fun, it's cool, it's creative, but it is tough to come up with good ideas, especially I try to look at other people's reels and kind of get a feel for what the flow is, or some of the hooks, but it's you also want to make them true to you. You know what I mean? I don't want to just take somebody else's idea and just slap my name on it.
That was the biggest thing to swallow with TikTok, is because all it is other people's ideas. You just take it and then you do it.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
I did a reel last week, and it was just the flamingo at the Science Center. It looked pretty cool, and I used somebody else's music, and it was a copyright thing, so they muted it, so it took away all
All
you know, all
yeah.
the reason why I had it. I was
Yeah.
like, man, I don't want to post a reel for 3 weeks now.
Right.
But like,
You get angry, man.
That literally happened. I forgot what I posted, but I think it was one of my reels from Instagram, but it had the Instagram watermark.
Okay.
They are serious about that.
Oh, they really?
They are. I posted it, and I didn't think it was going to be a big deal because when I first saved it to my camera roll,
Yeah.
I saw that it had the Instagram watermark, but I'm like, I'm just going to paste it to Facebook. It's all meta.
Yeah.
They're not going to trip. But they really flagged me. Like, they restricted because I got the little monetization thing. They're doing Spotify numbers, by the way, as far as like their pay rate.
Yeah.
But you know, I'm like, you know, that's mainly what kind of got me. I was already starting to do reels, and then when that happened, I was like, okay, let me like really make an effort to kind of get into this.
Yeah,
it's been a challenge, but
they say you can get paid up to $250 a week or something
like that,
and it's like 10 cents.
Yeah, you need hella views.
Yeah. So speaking about the whole, you're looking at next year's content. Ever since I've known you, you've been really meticulous on how you approach your art and how you maneuver. So like I know months in advance you have this in line, this in line. Speak about you know that what motivates you. What makes that a good idea for you and your art?
I have a shit ton of other things to do besides music, and so it's really helps me out better if I kind of have things already loaded up in the chamber. The more things that I can kind of just get an alert on my phone and I hit the button and it's up and running, the better. Because a lot of the times, like trying to come up with a reel on the spot, you know, when I'm supposed to be cooking dinner.
There's your reel.
I mean, yeah.
There's your reel.
I'm not that great of a cook, though. I mean, I do okay, you know. I do okay, but I don't think people slay people's food. And to be honest, I'm one of those people when people post food. I mean, unless you're like Bobby Flay or something, I've seen some people that like. I've been places where I'm eating the food and in person it looks delicious. But then they post it and I scroll my timeline and I see it and I'm like,
yeah.
And I don't know what it is about the camera or the post.
It's true. No, it's very
something.
true.
It turns, I mean, the food has to be super stylized for it to still look good when you post it.
My favorite is when, like, you know, it's posted with a caption like, my man is so lucky.
Right.
And you're like, is he?
Yeah.
Is he now?
Maybe it's better in person.
I'm a beast in the kitchen. And fucking spam.
Yeah, be like, get you a man that can cook. Right. It's like, like you said, spam and eggs or something.
So it's obviously some fucking Bojangles chicken.
Yeah, something.
And I whipped this up this morning. Yeah, that's my favorite.
Yeah.
I'm like, I hope it tastes better than it looks at least.
So, yeah, I'm not gonna be doing that. Now, I think I have posted a reel or two where I was cooking something, but that's not gonna be one of my main staples. One that I found that works for me, I guess it's because my page is I'm the Fatboy. I call it motivational eating. Those have scored a lot of views, and it's just me like taking a bite of something, and then I have like a motivational.
Dude,
something on the
that's
screen.
Genius.
Yeah, like I the first one that really popped, I was eating a s'mores or something. Literally, like I took one bite and it said something like, I think the caption was something like, I haven't had a s'more since I was a kid. Sometimes you gotta stop and take in life.
Yeah.
You know, it's not always about man. And I got like 17K views on that shit. And I'm like,
you got like music in the
posted,
background?
Yeah, I put my music, but like I've posted music videos and memes and all kinds of shit and like 150 views.
Yes, man. Look.
And then I take a bite of a s'mores with a little motivational caption, and it's like 17.9K. Dude. And then I tried it again. I think what was I had some fries from Burger King, and I just like dumped the last of them in my mouth. And the caption was like, "Be like fries. Think outside the box and get in your bag." And that's like 10K views.
Yes.
I'm like, okay, motivational eating.
Yeah,
we're
works.
leaning into motivational eating.
It works. That's a good idea, man. That'll irritate the hell out of you because you know it's like the success from that is nice, but also you're like,
come on,
really,
yeah,
really. Can the shit I spent 6 months on
like,
pop?
Come on,
please.
It's wild.
so frustrating.
And it's definitely like if you can't choose what your audience like as a person,
that's very
you
true.
really cannot. You
There's
don't know
a-
what they're going to latch
dude.
on to.
I'll give you, this is the dumbest quote in the world, but I've used this for like countless people because it's a one thing that artists I think struggle with is always trying to, like I do it, especially when I play acoustic. I just play music that I like, because it's so much easier for me to learn a song that I like. Well, my taste in music is pretty deep, so maybe I go somewhere and people are like, "What is he even playing?" Like a B-side Hank Williams Sr. song. Like nobody knows what that shit is. And so, so Joe Dirt. You ever seen Joe Dirt?
Yeah, the movie. Yeah.
The movie. All right. So he's at that fireworks stand, and the guy was like, well, "All you got is snakes and sparklers." And yeah, hey, all you got is he's like, "Yeah, I just sell snakes and sparklers." The fireworks stand guy, and Joe Dirt's like, "Why?" He said, "Because that's what I like is snakes and sparklers." And he says, "Well, there you go, man. It ain't about what you like; it's the consumer." And that shit, every time I think about it, I'm like,
rent-free.
it's rent free. And I'm like, it ain't about what I like; it's about the consumer. And like you said, leaning into that motivational eating,
yeah,
I can do it, man.
And it's not my cup of tea. You know what I mean? Like I said, I've really tried to come up with some creative stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But people like that. I took a bite of a brownie one time, and they're into it, and I'm like, hey. And it's crazy because it's like a lot of the hits that I got were from like India and Thailand. Like it's on the other
That's
side.
what I was about to say. That most of these reels go straight to strangers.
Yeah,
They do because it's really all about what you choose as that the screenshot.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think you can do that on Facebook. You can do it on Instagram.
Yeah,
I think.
yeah, Facebook.
Really?
Yeah. So like whatever that screenshot looks like to them, that's what the algorithm goes to.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's me in the car with my face, if there's another dude that looks like me in the car with that face, it's pulling them to me.
Okay.
And it's pulling me to you know what I'm saying. So like if you got somebody eating something, they're watching something of somebody eating it,
Okay.
and they're watching it in bulk.
So I need to pop in like a little shot of some like half naked woman, and then that'll be the screenshot, and then I'll blow up.
You don't even know what the screenshot is on Facebook, but you
Yeah,
can choose
Facebook.
it on Instagram.
Okay.
Genius, Marshall.
Yeah.
So
See.
like it's like a roll of the dice with
Yeah.
Facebook. Whatever they decide in that reel is what's going to happen.
They're terrible
And
at deciding those thumbnails too, man.
Yeah,
Like,
the thumbnails. Yeah,
They pick whatever
yeah,
was at the end of the video or something.
yeah.
You be like picking your nose or
Yeah,
something.
So that in itself is a roll of the dice.
Uh-huh.
Because, I mean, you get somebody that's just about to do this trick on a bike or something, and you'll just see that as a thumbnail over and over again. So, of course, you want to fucking push that
Yeah.
button.
Right.
So, if you see maybe it's you just going like this, you want
Yeah.
to see what's going to happen to that fry.
Mm.
You know, I mean, if that's the way that it is, I'm not saying that that's the way that it's always going to be, but right now, like, and you can't just, it's harder for you to go to somebody's page from a reel.
Yeah.
So you really have to search for that person at that point. You can follow them, I think, is the only option.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a whole new world on Facebook. Just a little bit different.
Yeah.
I'm trying to learn that stuff too. But when they hit me with that stuff, they were like, hey, you can get paid X amount a week. And I was like, oh, I'm going to try this.
Yeah, that's what really got me into it.
Yeah.
But the growth has been pretty good
Yeah.
too.
That's
You know
good.
what I mean? Like when I started doing them consistently, at least just one a day.
Yeah.
You know, you start seeing more. You're getting more views, which more eyes on means more people are going to be
Right.
like, okay, I want to follow. But I try to think about it from when I'm looking at reels. You know, when I'm scrolling through and the little line box or whatever where you can kind of swipe through.
Yeah.
When I'm looking through there, it's the ones that have like a guy, he's, on a trampoline or
Doing something
he's
crazy.
looks like he's about to do a flip on a bike or something like that, or they're cooking something that looks delicious or something like that.
Yeah.
That makes me click on it. So I'm
Yeah.
like,
You got to think about that.
Yeah.
And you can always put your music on there too.
Yeah.
You can always. So let's get to the, like I was talking about. We noticed on you being online. Well, actually, let's backtrack. Let's not hit that one yet.
Okay.
You were talking about the meticulousness nature and your calculated moves and your scheduling. Let's bring into you being a father.
Mhm.
How old is he now?
He's 7.
7. Okay. I was telling him I think he was about 2 years younger or older than Tyler. So 7. This is kind of brought you into a whole different way to maneuver yourself as a human, as a person, as a man, and as an artist. And you know, I was listening to people, you know, up until the point I was a father, and you know, you listen to somebody you don't really know until you have it. Have this. We've got a expecting father in the building.
Okay. Congratulations.
So,
Thank you.
so I guess the whole, how do you balance? What's your balancing act like? A little bit of it.
There are times where I don't know how I do it. But I definitely, like I said, I try to schedule as much as I can. I try to standardize as much as I can. Meaning, like, if I can create a process for something, we're available. A lot of the times you just can't. But we're available if I can, then I will. A lot of stuff happens after bedtime or during school hours, or I even do quite a bit on lunch break. I know I've literally been sitting at work at the hospital when I was working there. I literally was sitting there at work and was watching like a hip hop master class that Rod Digger was having online, and like, you know, supervisors or management or whatever come in, and I'm like cuffing my phone, you know what I mean, so I don't get a write up or whatever, and then they leave and I'm back trying to digest this information. So really, I don't always know what. There are certain times throughout the day where I know I'm going to have this free time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know, you know, lunch break, I'm going to have an hour where I can do besides just eat. You know what I mean? And I'm probably going to be watching some YouTube video anyway, so let me go ahead and make sure that it's something that I can learn or that I can apply. After bedtime is another one. During school hours. Even sometimes, though, some of the stuff I can do while, you know, he's there as well. So a lot of it, I think, now with him is just kind of just sneaking it in wherever you can. You know, I have him on, you know, something of a schedule at home to where, like, I know what time he's going to be getting home from school and what time dinner is and what time bedtime is and bath time and all that. So I just try to kind of maneuver around those things so that I can still spend time with him and be present, but at the same time get my stuff done. It's definitely a balancing act. But if I can, like I said, if I can create a process, I'm trying to think of one off the top of my head. For example, when I record, I try to record. I've gotten to where I've started back recording at home more, which helps, so I don't have to like schedule time and then go somewhere else to record. But I won't record one song at a time. You know what I mean? Or one verse at a time. I probably am not planning on recording until I have, you know, 3, 4, 5 songs already ready to go, to where he goes to bed and, you know, I can close that door to my room and, you know, just keep rolling. Finish this joint, finish that joint, finish. And then once I have 3, 4, 5 songs, then I can start, okay, I want to release, you know, something in January. But February, and a lot of it is trial and error as well. So like 2020, I was trying to release a song every single month. And I wasn't giving each song its individual due, because it's like by the time one was coming out, I was already talking about the next one, and that one hadn't even gotten, you know what I mean? So I'm like, okay, so let me pull back a little bit. So next year I'm going to try to do one like every other month or every, you know, just to give them time to kind of marinate in between.
Right.
But a lot of it is trial and error and just paying attention to people and working around the times that you have, taking what the defense gives you. And yeah. It's tough, but it's doable.
Yeah, I can imagine like it being different now that he's in school.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
like preschool era, it's like nonstop.
Oh yeah, and there was no. I really want to say between, he was born in 2015, so between 2015 and maybe like 2017, there was very minimal music being done. You know, he's a newborn, infant, toddler. You know, even when me and his mom were together, it was still, you know, I might do a show every so often and get to the studio a couple times a month. So warning, that very early phase where they still need like all the care in the world, it's going to be a little rough to kind of squeeze in, you know,
That's good to know.
even just leisure stuff, but, you know, especially like business stuff and work stuff and music, career stuff and that kind of thing. So it's going to be a challenge, but once they start to get a little more, I guess, autonomy, I guess, or a little more independence, independence to where, you know, they can kind of be to their own devices, because I can get stuff done. Like he'll come in and he might be like playing with his toys in his room or something, or he's eating dinner, or, you know, I don't know,
one
watching
day it'll
something.
be 5 minutes, one day it'll be 35
Right,
minutes,
you know
one
what
day
I
an
mean?
hour.
And if I got that 5 minutes, let me go in here and at least get started on this cover art or something like that. You know what I mean?
You just take advantage of the time that you do have.
Yeah. And it's never going to be consistent, like,
Yeah.
or for that period of time. Like when Tioga was 1 to 2, I really didn't do a whole lot either. And then when he got to be 2, it was 2020 and there was nothing to do.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, and now we're back in that situation with our second one where it's, my son's still not in school. My first son's still not in school yet. So you got a 4-year-old and a newborn pretty much. And it's just, it's tough, man. And we don't have a whole big support system involved anyway. We have 2 people that we could maybe trust for a handful of hours at a time.
About it. Shout out to the support systems, man. They are huge. I think that's another good one to how you manage it. You know,
who could you trust?
Right. And there's not that many people. My mom is probably, you know, my rock, and then I have a couple other friends that are really good. But my mom is definitely.
Shout out, Mom.
Yeah. Shout out to my mom, because I definitely have called her and been like, "Hey, I got a show.
Please.
2 nights from now. Like, come on."
Is she retired? Your mother?
Yeah. You know, so she's definitely, her child rearing days are over. She's enjoying the grandma days.
Yeah.
And she gets to load them up with candy and send them home, and then I got to deal with it.
Yeah, man. My mom, we told her straight up, we were like, look, you just come live with us for the first month. We'll put you in a room somewhere, and
that'll definitely help.
Yep. Man, I'm just thinking how quick this 2 years went.
Yeah.
I remember the last time when he was here, he must have been 5.
Mm-hmm.
And I was saying how he was about to be 5, and we're thinking about just all these, like, next year might be school. We don't know if we're going to do school or not. You know, we don't know yet.
It's weird.
It's real weird, man. It's real weird.
So many levels.
Yeah. I know a lot of people that teach in the school system, and, you know, you can't be paranoid all your life type of deal. And but at the same time, man, like, I don't have the tolerance for some people. You know what I'm saying?
I do.
I tell you now, I will tell you, like, it's not so bad. Like, there are generally, like, in my experience, you know what I mean? Generally, like, the teachers are helpful. They're cool. They want to work with you. They want the best for the child as well. Just like faculty in general. But, like, there's just the little things you kind of have to, that kind of nag at the back of your mind, you know, with everything going on with, you know, abductions and school shootings and all that. You don't want to get into it, but you know, those are the things that are in the back of your mind. But I feel like I try to have a good rapport with at least the people that have direct interaction with him, you know, day to day. So at least, you know, they know what to expect from me. I know what to expect from them. We can keep an open line of communication to where, you know, if he is acting up at school, they're not afraid to send me a message and be like, "Hey, he's, you know, da-da-da-da-da." I've seen a lot of parents that kind of, they've ruined that because they'll come in and, you know, the teacher's trying to be helpful, but you think you know it all,
like
or
they're defensive or something.
Yeah, you know what I mean, and they get offended, or you know what I mean, and so it kind of goes to pot. But I try to be engaged with his teachers and, you know, his faculty. He goes to, like, after school care as well. And I just, you know, try to show my face as much as I can. Try to have,
that's good.
You know, even if it's just chit chat, you know what I mean? Just they see me, they see that I'm involved, they see that I'm active. You know, he might act up sometimes. He's a little boy. He's 7 years old. You know what I mean? But you know, he's not like some street kid that nobody cares about. You know what I mean? He's got somebody that's active, and if he's acting out, he just needs some correction.
Right.
As a former teacher, that's the type of parent you need.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just really upset about the education system as a whole.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Which you can't be that way and be a parent. So, like, I've got a little bit of time to figure that out. And try to conquer that.
Yeah. If I could ask you, because I'm gonna have a boy as well,
Mm-hmm.
and Ty's got 2 boys coming up, and your boy's 7. I know you might, obviously you weren't raising kids 2 decades ago.
Yeah. No.
But like, what would you say are a challenge, or the challenges that you have raising a son specifically today versus what your mother may have had raising you?
And that's my pretty much my bar, because the only other experience I have with childhood other than him is my childhood.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And I mean it's a continuous learning experience. Like every day they learn something new, and then by extension you learn something new. Small example, he learned about the first I want to say the first black female astronaut, Mae Jemison. And there was something that I had learned in school, but totally slipped my mind. One of those factoids that just kind of, you don't really think about it over the years. So he comes in one day, and he's going on about Mae Jemison this, Mae Jemison that. And it was just like the most adorable thing that, you learn these things in school. And you might forget about them, but it's just cool that you learn them. I would say probably one of the biggest challenges that I faced was kind of just like the sociability aspect, especially with him being the only child. And you said this is your first child.
Yes.
So yeah, with him being the only child, they get kind of used to being the only kid in the vicinity. You know what I mean? They might go to like a cousin's house or something like that. But when they go home, they're the only one playing with the toy. They're the only one playing with the tablet, or the only one sleeping under the blanket. So there's no arguments. But when they go out to school, there's definitely that curve when you go from I'm the focal point of child attention to I'm one of 30 kids in a room with like 2 or 3 teachers maybe. There's definitely a transitional period there.
That's what we're at right now.
Yeah.
Do you think you can teach humility, or is it something they got to learn themselves?
It's a little bit of both. There are certain things that you can teach, as far as like manners, as far as like following directions, that kind of thing. But then there are some things they're gonna have to learn on their own. Sometimes you got to bump your head. You know what I mean? Sometimes you don't believe fire's hot until you burn your hand on the eye.
Right.
No matter how many times somebody's standing right over you, like, don't touch that, don't touch that, don't touch that. Eventually, somebody's gonna turn their back for 2 seconds, and now you got a hospital trip, and
Yeah. I got the proof for it right there.
Yep.
When I was a kid, right there.
Yeah.
You got to remember those. Remember you as a kid as
Yep.
much as you can
Yep.
for the first, for pretty much all their life, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
But at least for the first, when they start to learn how to walk and talk and do these type of things, because you just got to remember, it's not necessarily karma, but it's you got to remind yourself.
Genetic almost.
I was doing
karma.
I was doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Because like what he's saying, we weren't prepared enough for that. The biggest reason is because of the lockdown. That almost a year in a young man's life, is like so critical. So from 2 years old to about 3 years old, he
had a third of his life at that time
had no interaction, and then that's when he starts needing the interaction the most.
Yeah.
So he didn't have that. He's doing somewhat well with our second child, but he's seeing that he's not what you said.
Right. The
So
center of attention,
it's right before the school too. So we put him into the camp. We were able to trade off. I filmed for the camp. They gave him the ticket to get into camp, and he was around 20 kids at that point.
Do you see
He's
some
around
improvement from that?
A little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit.
It's gradual. Like I'll say, it's gradual because when my son first went to daycare, he was like 3, and admittedly, he actually got put out of that daycare because he was used to being the one kid. So now you've got him and a bunch of other toddlers that now have to share the one stuffed animal or the one block set or the one big wheel or whatever the case may be, and he's used to just having his turn and having his turn and having his turn. So fights break out, and he's got a little bit of a temper, a worse temper than I do at least, and they were like, hey, he's a little rough, and there were warnings, and I've had talks with him, and I had talks with them, and eventually, they were just like, hey, now I can't even believe that happened. You know what I mean?
Really?
Because time has gone by. He's gotten more used to interacting with not just other kids, but other people. He's good with adults. And so it's a learning experience.
Mm-hmm.
You just kind of got to be patient. Like, sometimes it's going to be like, why can't you get it?
Right.
But then you also have to remember they're not developed as
Right.
we are. They're not as cognitive. You know, sometimes they don't. I don't know. There's like, at that age, there's sometimes a disconnect. You know what I mean? Even sometimes it seems where it's like, you know the rules. You know there are consequences to like not following the rules, whatever those may be. But then, you know,
Like they
the wires cross. Right.
yeah.
You know what I mean? And then another good piece of advice I think I would give is expect the unexpected. You just there's no baby book that can predict everything. Our advice is gonna fall short. Whatever your mom has told you, it's gonna fall short. I woke up one night after dozing off in a chair. I'm sitting up just like this, watching a movie, and I doze off. I was asleep. Couldn't have been more than an hour. I wake up and my apartment is flooded from the front to the back because my son decided to play with the bathtub when he was like 2 years old. Never could have seen that coming. I didn't even know he knew how to turn the knobs and all that at that time. And even if he could, I didn't know he could reach the knobs from where he was. He got in there and made it happen somehow. Very fast. And I wake up and there's like much water throughout my entire apartment. I had just moved in, didn't have a mop, so I'm sweeping water for 2 hours out of the front door. I was pissed. To this day, there are times where I'm just sitting watching TV and I think back to that. And it's like,
wake up,
bro,
wake up! Gotta stay awake. Gotta stay awake.
So I feel like one day, especially in little boys' lives, like there's a good chance that the testosterone is going to start flowing, and you're going to try your dad. I tried my dad at one point. It was a mistake.
Oh yeah.
And so I feel like that's going to come one day, and I feel like that's going to be the day where I think back, like you flooded the whole apartment. I kind of owe you what's coming next.
With interest.
Right.
When I was one, speaking of when you're talking about unexpected, my mom mopped the floor. I came running in there. I fell and broke my leg.
Oh.
And just started walking. I started crying like crazy. She picked me up. She sat me down, and there for a while I was all right. Stood up, started screaming. She rushed me to the doctors, and there I had. She was like, I didn't even know you could break a leg that
I was about to say,
Yeah.
I didn't know at 1 year old.
Yeah, it was. And I don't know if it was so traumatic, but there's times where I still can picture me that young and standing on my leg.
And it just hurts.
Yeah. It hurt.
Yeah,
Yeah,
crazy.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Being that young and walking, just on your tippy toes because you had the whole cast of my leg.
Yeah.
Well, I think your first core memories that you don't forget tend to be pain or trauma based.
Yeah.
Tend to be.
Yeah.
Because your brain's like, you need to remember this.
Right. Let's hold on.
I don't need to step into a glass again. This is worth holding on to. I got the score for that one too.
Oh man.
I already know I'm gonna be asking any guests we have who have boys. I'm gonna be asking that.
You should, man.
'Cause
you should.
It's a lot of fun.
It might not be. You might not apply it.
Yeah.
It might not ever happen to you. But just in case, like you said, the unexpected is going to happen.
It's gonna happen.
Well, I feel like it seems to me that generationally, every set of parents somehow, and I don't mean this to sound in a bad way, but somehow every generation has failed a little bit from their parents. And it's like it's a different thing every one, right?
Yeah.
And so like I think that people born in 80s, late 70s, it's more like emotionally, you're a man, stand up straight, get over it, XYZ.
Yeah.
So it's like when I raise my boy, I want him to know that he's valid, his feelings are valid, but also he is a man, or he's going to be him when we raise him one. So, it's like that. Like, how do I surf that fine line to where you mean the whole world to me, but you ain't going to mean the world to everybody? Like, how do I walk that tightrope? And that's just some stuff that I've been trying to work out in my mind before he gets here.
You'll learn
Yeah.
as he grows. I think it's still until. Even when you send them off to college or send them off wherever, because that's another thing. Like, do you want to groom him to go to college, or do you want to groom him to go to the workforce?
Right.
Will that be? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So like, you'll just go as
Yeah.
day by day,
Gotcha.
hour by hour, second by second. You'll be like, I want this motherfucker to learn Legos at 1 year old. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're thinking, oh, why can't you do this? Because he's one. So like, it's really like.
I feel
That's
like
my instance. I don't know.
Yeah.
Probably.
I feel like I'm looking so far in the future, but I feel like once he gets here, it's gonna be like, bam! Today's the only day that matters. Like, I feel like that's what it's gonna be like.
And those days add up to the future. You know what I mean? So like with my son, to kind of teach him that, I always tell him, like, when he gets mad, when he gets sad, I always tell him it's okay to feel XYZ. You know what I'm saying? The one for me is always mad most of the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He might get mad. He hates to be told no.
We all do.
Right. And I tell him, I'm like, it's okay to be mad. It's cool. Like, everybody gets mad. You're allowed to have your emotions. But it's what you do with them. You know what I mean? You're not allowed to, like, hit people. You can be mad, but you can't hurt anybody.
Right.
That
There's
kind
a
of
line.
thing. Right. You know what I mean? There's another one that's a challenge is getting them to just consistently follow directions. Like, it'll be good for a couple days, and then they'll kind of stray, and got to give them pep talk and get them back on. But I let him know that, hey, I know it sucks following directions sometimes, but everybody's got to follow directions. Not just you, not just children. You know what I mean? I'm an adult. I can come and go as I please for the most part, but if I just run through all the red lights, what's going to happen? You know what I mean? Or if I just run into the back of somebody's car, or if I go into a store and take something and just walk out without paying for it, what's going to happen? You know what I mean? So, you can feel however you want to feel, but you can't do whatever you want to do. And, they get it over time, especially once they start getting around other kids. And school helps a lot, you know what I mean? Because they learn how to deal with other humans besides just the people in their house or maybe the people in their neighborhood or whatever. Right. So, yeah.
That's a great point. So we were talking about COVID, the pandemic, the lockdown. And I know right before then, we all had big ambitions and big dreams, and we were doing all kinds of stuff, like all three of us, in the majority of the artistic world. And then here it is, and it's bam. Then I noticed that you started taking up some community activism. You started getting out and marching with, with us and the other groups. Is that something that you always had been doing, or was it the opportunity to show at that point?
Yeah, no, that was really new. And I guess it was just the atmosphere. You know what I mean? Everything that was going on, everything that's still going on, everything that has gone on in the past, and I don't want to just speak on necessarily a racial, aspect, because that was like a big part of 2020. But then, with the mask mandates and everything, like with just a lot of stuff, had always kind of been in the back of my head, especially when it comes to politics. I try not to get too deep off into politics because it can boil over pretty quick. But even in that aspect, there are a lot of ways that I feel that I kind of had always felt low key, but then 2020 kind of like really brought a lot of stuff that you thought was going on right in your face. Right. Now it's right here, and this is what's going on. And it was, speculation or conspiracy theories or whatever 5-10 years ago, and now like here it is. And I think what really kind of jarred me a little bit about it all was the narrative had been the average American is like 3 paychecks away from homelessness. And then we found out that America is 3 paychecks away from homelessness. You had major corporations shutting down after 3 missed paychecks. And it's like, wait, this is not the America that we were promised. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of people woke up during then. And so that kind of is what woke it up within me, where it's like, I think you need to get because I feel like eventually it's going to start retracting from social media and globalization, and people are going to start wanting to worry more about what's going on in their own backyard,
Right.
what's going on in their community, what's going on at their schools and at their stores and with their, establishments, rather than wondering, what, I don't know, Goldman Sachs is doing in New York or what Elon Musk is doing in South Africa. I think it's going to be more like what's TyBru doing at, Hardcore Art Store, where it's, I'm looking forward to that. I hope so as well. Only time will tell. But it really seems like people, at least in America, it really seems like people have kind of gone out into the I don't want to say universe, like the global, marketplace, and have kind of started getting their fill. Like, you're always marketed to, you're always on, you're always expected to be productive, you're always, it's like constant. And I saw a meme earlier where somebody was saying, I don't know about y'all, but I always feel guilty, like if I'm not being productive round the clock. And it's like, yeah, that's crazy, because if I'm on my computer and I'm working on, I don't know, a treatment for a music video or something, and I just doze off after a long day, it's midnight and I'm been going all day. If I doze off, when I wake up the next morning, I feel like, damn, that's 10 years worth of my life in one night that I could have been working on, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And things like that, especially after 2020, things like that really kind of stick out to me so bad now. It's like we live in a society where every day you have to wake up and you have to work for joy. You know what I mean? If you want to be happy, you got to go for it. You got to do something the pursuit of happiness. Whereas if you want to fall into ruin and despair, you just got to kick your feet up and do nothing for long enough. And I feel like that's ass backwards. I feel like that's not the world that we inherited and that we, were given when it was first created. However the means of creation are, I feel like that's just not how humanity was designed to be.
That's not how a lot of countries work.
Yeah, right. And this is the things that you're seeing now, because it was like, USA greatest. And don't get me wrong, as an American citizen, I am still very much pro-America. You know what I mean? I love this country. And not just because I'm here, because I see a lot of the crap for what it is. But, America, the concept, America, the ideal, to me, still means something.
Oh, yeah.
It's just like the execution, the administration, how everything has been has been playing out over the years is what doesn't sit right with me. And I feel like we're at a point where it doesn't sit right with most people. I don't even want to, I was going to say it doesn't fit right with a lot of people, but when you look around and you talk to people in person, online, you see their interviews and all this stuff, people are to a point where you're just not happy with the current state of things. You know what I mean? You have to be a certain level of, well off or whatever the case may be to really be enjoying the American dream. Or you have to have come from somewhere that was worse off, I guess, to really be, enjoying that piece of the American dream. So, I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I don't want to get too deep off into it, but it's a very deep subject.
It is.
And, a lot of things have just been brought to the light. And I think America, to be honest, I still think America is going in a good direction. I think you got to go through the mud to get through,
it's pretty muddy.
The wheat, yeah. Oh, yeah, it's ugly. But I think on the other side of the ugh, as long as we don't blow ourselves up, I think it's gonna be okay. You know what I mean? Especially with the stuff we're learning now. People are learning, how to be more self-sufficient and how to live off the land and, that kind of thing. Work with the people in your community rather than expect the government or somebody else to come and save you. It's just I think it's the dawn. I don't think it's the end. I think we're at a beginning.
Yeah, I like how you said people are more concerned with, the backyard and where they're at as a society. I think that's definitely where the potential is lying and will be lying. But I think here in Asheboro, hey, backtrack, did you see a different Asheboro during 2020? I mean, did you see, like, when you said you saw what things were for what they're worth, there was a lot of things going on in Asheboro at that point. that's that's why I marched. That's why we created Hope at Eastside, because a lot of things were like right in our faces.
Right, yeah.
Like you said, there was no hiding it, and people still tried to hide it.
Yeah.
And that's what really burns me up so much, is that some people will say that things don't exist and they're right here.
In that aspect, I've seen absolutely nothing that I haven't already seen. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of people, not just in Asheboro, but also since we're talking Asheboro, specifically in Asheboro, a lot of people, there's definitely been kind of like an undercover line, an underground line, and I saw that a lot working at the hospital. I think the hospital was probably the main job I've had where I absolutely refused to talk politics. Absolutely refused.
So now, that's kind of what I was trying to get to early on.
Before.
Before.
Okay, gotcha.
See what I'm saying? Like, I just didn't know really quite how to word it.
Gotcha.
I'm all learning what we should say and what we shouldn't say, because that's kind of where I should have asked this question and then the question about the hospital, because they were also about to go under around that time, so you would really see some cutthroat stuff.
Okay,
you would really see some like they're our backs against the wall type things, and then of course you would see just your average crazy citizen, like you said.
Okay.
I just didn't know how to word it.
I got you.
You know what I'm saying?
So yeah, well, in that aspect, politics for me would be the thing there, and honestly, it wasn't even the staff. Especially after a little while, people kind of got to realize that Chris isn't the one to really have those conversations with, because I started to have them a few times, and of course my views are going to differ wildly from a lot of the other views there. And not to knock anybody, I always try to be respectful of other people's views and opinions and all. But I just know everybody isn't everybody's cup of tea, and everybody has their views and their opinions and their standpoints, and some of mine would be offensive, some of theirs would be offensive, whatever. But I've even with patients, I remember I had a conversation with one patient where we were talking about the significance of the Confederate flag, that kind of thing. Right. And his views were valid and they were legit. Like, there wasn't a screaming match. There wasn't, and in this aspect, I am perfectly fine with politics. Yes. I think more people need to talk about politics amongst each other, rather than this screaming match of red versus blue, or socialist, Marxist, communist, blah, 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 like all of that stuff. I think if people really sat down and really hashed out ideas and, well, this is how I feel, you know what I mean? And this is why I feel like, this is why this is right for me, even though it may not be right for you. And then kind of come to an accord, and everybody's not going to agree. It's not going to be kumbaya. We're not all going to get a Coke and a smile. But, you'll at least understand, like, okay, they don't hate me, or I don't hate them. It's just, we just don't see eye to eye. As it is right now, there's a bunch of flag waving and slogan screaming and rhetoric. And,
running right behind that is a shield.
To an echo chamber.
And then the people that really want the change from each side are the ones that won't budge enough, or they just we keep it on.
It keeps
such,
radicalizing. Or keeps on, radicalizing.
And there's fatigue in that. There's it goes back to the education system too. If we would have just been taught from the beginning what it really was, then we wouldn't have these problems.
Because I'm 36 years old, and it took a whole pandemic for you to realize this is what's going on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because, I thought we were like the reigning conquerors of the world type, It turns out we've been kind of living off World War II rhetoric for decades.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Man. Your involvement with Hope at Eastside, how's that going recently? Because, I've been, since my wife was pregnant, we kind of have been taking a hiatus from that. How's things with that?
It's been going good. Shout out to Demetria. She hits me up sometimes for different stuff, like advice and different stuff. She's been working on some mugs for the wintertime, different holiday themed mugs and stuff like that, and she had asked me some advice about that. There's some great designs. I think she sold out of the whole first batch of Halloween mugs. Like it went good. Me and my son went to the Halloween thing they did at the park. And that was dope. We got there super early, so they weren't done setting up yet. But he still wound up getting like a huge bag of candy that took us a week to finish. So yeah, it was a good time. It's like shout out to Demetria. It's always a good time. It's always a good experience. She's a very hard worker. So yeah, it's great. I definitely plan on doing more. I usually do my stuff during the summer, so I'm more lower key when it's cold outside and rainy and stuff. You know what I mean? I like to do stuff more like this, where indoors and warm.
It's the way. Going, not to stop. Look like the world ain't open back up again. A little bit.
It's like time and time again, I gotta remind myself what state of mind I'm in.
Gotta steal my
Tomorrow's not promised him, so give flowers to the kid now and honor him.
word.
Over time, though, the truth will be told. That TyBru music, chicken soup for the soul. Eventually, what was new will be old, but I refuse to mold like wax fruit in a bowl. I'm getting swollen, I shoot for the gold. The silver looking nice, so if I'm moving in pose, it don't really matter, stay true to my goals. The man in the mirror, stay proving the most. I've been ruining foes, who's a nuisance to growth. Don't get confused, I don't use my influence to boast. I just cruise in the shoes, who's improving the dose of the daily intake. Him break news in the post. Loyalty to fam, it's the glue of the code. Last resort nowadays is shooting a toast. If they test my last breath, I maneuver the roast. Mash out, fast flash, blast two, and I'm ghost. It's like time and time again, I gotta remind myself what state of mind I'm in. Tomorrow's not promised him, so give flowers to the kid now and honor him. It's like time and time again, I gotta remind myself what state of mind I'm in.
So we get to the point where we're talking about, we notice online, you struggle with your validation, and which a lot of artists do.
Yeah.
And then we see your artwork and we look at it and we listen to it. Some of the stuff Marshall had never heard before. He's blown away by it. I'm digging the baguettes because I know you filmed it yourself or you directed it yourself, and I shot a video on that same laundromat before.
I love that laundromat. I don't know why. It's just like the vibe. You know what I mean?
I love the black and white. And so like you see all these things that you're strong and you're powerful. You got a knack for this, so what would it take for you to, shed that and be your best person?
I think because I see a lot of the same things,
World tour?
especially for sure.
World tour, do it.
But like I see a lot of the same things, you know what I mean? Especially like analytics and numbers and all that crap that nobody else really sees. So I see that there's something there, and I think that's where the frustration really comes in. That you see there's a good, solid foundation. I send the music off to people, I get reviews and stuff like that, and they're all pretty raving, from strangers, from friends, from, you know what I mean? Like I get a good vibe, I get a good review on my music and everything, but then you go and the numbers don't line up. And I think that's probably like one of my biggest downfalls is like it's always been a numbers game. Music's always been a numbers game. But now it's like it's more like numbers has always been a music game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's crazy because, you have the artistry, you have the creativity, you have the work ethic. They always say hard work beats talent when talent don't work hard. So when you have the talent and you're working hard and then the numbers aren't really, and it's like, And I say all the time that music and art and everything is really the only time where I care about that kind of thing. Like, I'm the type of person, you could catch me in Walmart in some big Christmas pajamas paying for the bag of chips I'm eating in line with a jar of pennies. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I don't care, but when it comes to the music, oh man, do I want to post this Facebook ad and have 10,000 people see it and potentially rip me apart in a public forum? And it's like,
what is your
I don't
art,
know,
man?
Yeah,
it
is. It is. You know what I mean? heart and soul and
pride
so,
and everything, man.
right. So and that's another part of it because you put so much into it. You know what I mean? But I see that there's a good foundation. You know what I mean? There are times where, and this goes back to what I was saying about before when like all I had was notebooks full of rhymes and maybe a couple CDs that I had out, and that was pretty much it for my catalog. And I was still out there hardcore. You know what I mean? And now it's like I have merch offerings. Back then I didn't even have videos like that. I think I had like 1 or 2 music videos at the time, and I was still pushing the hell out of them. And now I'm like, I got a decent little catalog, at least foundationally. And now it's like, I don't know if I want to da 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 da. So I realized me being in my own head is a lot of it, and just just being up here. Because a lot of it also, I'm concerned about getting ripped apart. But at the same time, I'm like, what if I do a Facebook ad and it gets 1 million views and then I get signed tomorrow and then I'm going on tour the next day and I don't even know who's going to pick up my kid from school. And, like this is...
You got like a fear of success.
Yeah, a little bit. You know what I mean? A little bit. So I can tell that I'm really just going to have to jump off the deep end. That's really what's going to be, I think, the remedy for me. That's usually what the remedy is for me. I do this a lot in my life. I remember before I learned how to drive, I was like, I'm just going to get out there, and then I got to worry about all these other guys, and I might get in a wreck, and insurance, and I don't know how to do this, and then like just kind of over-talk myself.
Yeah.
And now, I look back at it while I'm driving with one finger while eating a sandwich, and you know what I mean?
I was so worried about that.
What's the big deal? So I'm always, I kind of psych myself out, you know what I mean? And then I get to a point where I get tired of psyching myself out, and I'm like, jump, you pussy. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
And 7 times out of 10, when I take that jump, it's beneficial. And then the other 3 times, it's still beneficial. It's just beneficial in the long run after I bump my head or I, stumble and fall and screw up.
Like
now
you
gotta fix it.
belly flop.
Like
Yeah,
in
you know what I mean?
you either win or learn type scenario.
Right, you know what I mean?
So what would jumping off the deep end look for you right now?
Really going all in. I think looking at the things that I do and everything, I play it safe a lot. You know what I mean? I go places where maybe I know people, or I go places where I've gotten a good response before, or I go where I'm invited or something like that. But like when it's something like something bigger where maybe there's more eyes that'll be able to see and more people there involved that might be able to put you in a position, I kind of shy away from that a little bit. I think it's partially the part of that fear of success, also that fear of, getting just booed off stage. You know what I mean? I still experience stage fright to an extent. And I've realized that when you get to the point where you go to a place and you no longer experience stage fright, you've gotten too comfortable. You know what I mean? It's too chill. It's too familiar. So now I feel like, for me, it's time to jump into some uncharted territory. Marketing, I think, is what really jumps out at me right now because I've tried to learn it, but I haven't really tried to implement it because I'm just like, I don't have that much cash and I don't want to starve because I wanted to promote an album and you know what I mean? My son needs school clothes.
Like homie said, the answer to his question, I think, was like, what is it?
15, 20K.
Yeah, 20,000.
Yeah. But this is the part, and this is free game. The part that came right after that. Okay, he told us the price.
That was the reel. That was what I saw on the reel. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Talking about reels.
I posted it.
Post.
Yeah, I posted it. Yeah.
There you go.
See, that's what I'm saying. Like, okay.
So the very next part of that, because he was talking about the budget and funding and everything.
Yeah.
And he was like, he said 15 to 20K, and you could hear the slight gasps and groans in the audience, and he was like, but how many people in here have an LLC? And sparse people, including me, I don't have my LLC yet. But a few people raised their hands, and he was like, well, if you have an LLC, you can apply for business credit and things like that. And that's where a lot of your budget would come from. It might not be 15, 20K. Might be, depending on what your credit looks like. Yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah. But you can get at least a good small startup budget to kind of try to snowball that into more. And for me, that was the gym, because I already knew to break even a single and get like major traction for it. You know, you're talking thousands and thousands of dollars. But for me, it was always like, where the hell am I supposed to get that money from? You know what I mean? Like, I could work till my fingers bleed, and I'm, you know, not even going to come close to that for one
that's
song.
That's a year's salary. For
right, you know what I mean? So, but when he said that next part, and it was like, oh, because I've already been looking into like LLCs and business taxes and trademarks and like the real business of it. And as I find out more and more and more about that, I'm realizing like that's how people are more self-funded. It's not necessarily because they have mommy and daddy money, or it's not because they have the greatest of investors, but they're taking that risk to, you know, get their business together and then put their business up, you know, I guess almost as collateral in some cases in order to get further with the business. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of that business stuff that I really didn't start learning until, you know, the past few years. You know what I mean? And I'm still learning a lot of that stuff. But when he said that, and he was like, you know, you get your LLC and then you can start getting like business credit and stuff. And it's a risk. You know what I mean? You could screw that up just like you could screw up your individual credit. But, you know, it's more of a calculated risk. Like, you're not taking your name and going to buy flat screen TVs from Aaron's. You know what I mean? So
we hope you're enjoying this episode of ASHEBORO Undecided. We're taking a quick break to do a little promotion for some of our products, mainly Grieving Process, the visual EP, and the audio EP. This is a project myself and Marshall Alexander, who is another host on this show, put together a few years back. It's the visual EP was something very innovative, very unique at the time. Still pretty unique. It's every song that's on this EP. We shot a video for and blended it together seamless. It's won several awards around the film festival circuit internationally. We take a lot of pride in this. So we heavily encourage you guys to check out the info in this content. Look for the link and purchase this from our catalog. Thank you so much. Keep watching or listening. So, like, these things, these master classes, these conferences are very important for, you know, before it was like you had to pay to play.
Yeah,
and come in there.
And with a lot of the master classes and stuff, you still have to pay to, you know, to view or to get in or whatever. But I feel like that's more of an investment when you're going to get the information versus, you know, oh, well, I'm just going to pay this guy and maybe he's an exec for Warner Brothers and he gives a crap about my music when I come perform for 3 minutes. Right. Like, you know what I mean? Versus, how can I take this information, you know what I mean? Yeah. How can I take this information and build on it, you know what I mean? So, and that's, I mean, a lot of this, going back to like one of the first questions where you were saying like how the master classes and conferences, I'm realizing some of the energy expenditure. You know what I mean? Like going to shows and performing. I love it. It's cool. It's great. It's fun. But you can expend the same amount of energy to go to a conference and set up a vendor table and actually maybe make some money back and learn some stuff and meet some people. I mean, and you don't have to go and I'm getting kind of old. My knee hurts at the end of the night after a high impact performance. You know what I mean? So, you know, I'm starting to realize like a lot of the older ways that music was done are kind of, it's just changing. Like the world around us is changing. The world we were born into no longer exists. It's just totally, and there are kids that were born in, you know, 2008. That world don't exist no more. You know what I mean? Like
2019.
Yeah.
I mean, everything is different.
Right. Yep. Totally.
So, yeah, it's an evolutionary process, and it's leaps and bounds ever since technology has become leaps and bounds. You know, it's like once we learn something, we have to learn the next thing. I mean, and we don't know when to stop and start. You know what I'm saying? So we're still, you know, we're beginning to be the people that our parents were. We're like, hey, they don't even know how to write an email.
Right.
Oh, we don't know how to do this. Reels? Oh, shit. This is 7-year-old kid knows how to do reels.
Yeah.
My dad's up there trying to fix reels.
Right.
Man, you know, so it's that's the gift and the curse with technology.
Yeah.
And, you know, we're all trying to, you know, get ahead of it. I think you got a really good head of it with your, you know, us and you with the live performances during the streams.
Oh, yeah.
The streams during COVID. Like, that helped propel us, you know, and I somewhat miss those days because we made a lot more money then than we're doing now.
Because people had a lot more time and disposable income. They weren't going out so much. I mean, it was, I did good on T-shirts during that time. Honestly, I say, because 2022, emotionally and spiritually for me has been a little rough. But 2020, I mean, even with all the turmoil, 2020 was still pretty sweet. That was probably one of the better years I've had in recent times.
When I sat down with Sadat and we were talking on FaceTime, the one thing he told me, he was like, if 2020 didn't bring it out of you, you ain't never fucking had it in you to begin with.
Yeah.
Like, so if you were not doing what you really wanted to do in 2020, like, you didn't have any business doing it.
Yeah.
And like that's when he said that to me. You know, he's an OG in the game. He's doing this since brand Nubian days. I'm listening to every word he's saying, and then I'm trying to figure out, oh, he's right. You know, you start seeing these people that just stop doing it.
Yeah.
Of course, we all had that. We had time to have our own self.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, if you ain't pushing your brand and your artwork, like, I really don't have any interest in supporting that. And that's how I rule of thumb. That's how it is now. Like, rarely do I mess with anybody that didn't do what they were doing prior to 2020. Unless there was a death in the family or unless it was really a hard year for them. Like, but if you're sitting there claiming that this is your life and you didn't do it.
What stood out to me was the people that didn't come back. You know what I mean? Like during 2020, you know, a lot of people kind of fell off, but you would think, you know, once 2021 and stuff starts opening up and, you know, you start having shows again, a lot of people didn't just, that was it. You know, 2020, that was it. They hung it up.
That's true. I mean, I came that close, man.
Yeah.
You know, one tough thing after getting past 2020 and after everything was closing up was everything that had been scheduled now has priority for these next dates. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And they had like all the big money promotions fighting for dates, you know? And so it was like your independent shows were just very difficult to even get rolling. And then it's like, is this the way the world is going to just be now, you know?
Yeah.
And hell, you see like everything going on with Ticketmaster and all that shit, and it's like, you know, this is crazy.
That's also a really good point.
Yeah.
That's really, because you were on schedule to do more tours. You know, he's one of the only ones that I know that actually would get out there and tour in the sense of the word tour.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So many people get out there and say I'm touring. They go to from here to
tour life, and it's like Raleigh, Wilmington,
Wilmington.
They got like 16 dates though, but it's just all
you know, and then that's what they say. And then
that was, you know, I've never been in a position where I had immediate pull at a venue. If I go up to someone, I've never had that kind of situation. So I've always had to, you know, somebody's taking a risk every time because, you know, I can provide them numbers or whatever, but they're going to take a risk every time. So, again, these venues, a lot of them did go out of business. A lot of them aren't here anymore after 2020, but a lot of them barely made it through. And now they're like, am I really going to hire staff this night, you know, to put this dude on who I don't even
I think
know about?
Blind Tiger was one of them. They were on the ropes for it.
Yeah, they were on the ropes because they weren't doing shit right. I mean, they weren't doing shit right.
They were making their money during 2020. They were one of those that was like, we're going to do our shit regardless.
Yes, I want more. Give me more. Yes, I want more. Give me more. Give me wings and things. I want more. To take me.
Take me higher and higher, 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 higher.
I want more. Give me wings and things to take me. Take me. Take me. Give me one more.
Take me higher and higher. the saddle, get ready for time travel. Hallucinogenics from chemists and what have you. Reality's a fucked up place to come back to. What they say, God bless the things that come at you. I ain't trying to hit you with that snafu or shackle your mindset with taboos. If cash rules, then get my satchel attached to my stash too. When you got that fire, there is no need to match you. Do a couple lines like McDonald's with they fast food. Pop a couple stems a little bigger than the cashew. I can mix liquor much quicker if I'm asked to. Now I close my eyes, I love to feel it as it passed through. My mind open more than it did up in the classroom. I'm captured by capsules, my stature like statues. Flashbacks to high school, or should I say grassroots. Always strive to stay high. Here's a giraffe's too. Give me wings and things. I want more to take me higher and higher.
So we'll do a couple more questions and then we'll bounce out. That was like 10 minutes ago. We're still good.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
at least. So we're talking back about Asheboro. What do you think could be improved about Asheboro? Like, what would be like the best Asheboro could be like?
And I've thought about this. I've definitely thought about this. I think Asheboro is in a prime position for art, music, entertainment, just all kinds of different things. But I think the way to that, I think Asheboro needs to invest more in the youth of the city. You know, you got a lot of like orthopedic places, and you have a lot of like pharmacies and stuff on every corner. But when it comes to, you know, art museums, there's not a lot of those. When it comes to like planetariums, video arcades, I don't know, even restaurants that are geared towards, I say younger, and I don't necessarily mean kids, but I mean like, you know, under 40 or, you know, 20 and 30 somethings, you know what I mean? Where a little more vibrancy, I don't know, you could, you know, a little more energy can be injected into the city. I think a lot of people, you know, if you want to have a good time, you got to go somewhere else. Or if you want to see something cool that's not the zoo, you know what I mean, you got to go somewhere else. And I feel like Asheboro should really kind of lean heavy. I like the Arts Guild, and I like a lot of the stuff that they do, you know what I mean? I think Asheboro should really lean heavy into the arts community and really, you know, put more investment, put more time and more effort into, you know, art, music, entertainment. And I'm not necessarily saying trying to turn it into freaking Las Vegas or anything like that, but like, you know, give people more to do than go to work and go to the doctor and go home.
And then drive to Greensboro to do something.
Right, and have fun. I think, you know, if you give people under 40, 45 in the city more to look forward to and more to do and more to stay in the city for, you know what I mean? I feel like the city will thrive a little bit better. It's just, there's not a lot to bring people here, you know what I mean? And then people come here and like there's no transit system, for example, you know what I mean? So it's a very car heavy city, and some people like to walk and some people like to bike, and there's not a lot of bike trails, and there's not a lot of hiking trails, and you know what I mean? Like, I feel like Asheboro is not, I feel like it's a very elderly town. You know what I mean? I do feel like it's a very elderly town that's kind of geared towards an elderly crowd. You want more, it's more of a retirement community. You know what I mean? Once you've had your fun in Greensboro and Charlotte and Raleigh, then you move to Asheboro and enjoy your remaining years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is cool.
Even though I don't think that happens a whole lot, but that's the that's exactly what it feels like.
That's exactly. I mean,
it's exactly what it feels like, man. Like
you see a new place coming up somewhere, and you're like, "Ooh, what's that going to be?" And you know it's not going to be a Dave and Buster's. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. You know it's not going to be a Arigato. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's going to be Waffle House, or it's going to be
another Taco Bell.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's going to be a doctor's office. It's going to be another mattress firm. 2 miles up from the other mattress firm.
Well, I think a lot of that, kind of what we were talking about with venues now, you know, so many people are afraid to take risks the way they used to just take a risk on a different business or take a risk on a different investment. You know, it's a lot more fear around that.
I don't know if that's that here because just think about it. Like,
I think
if you were trying to take a risk or not take a risk, would you? If you were not trying to take a risk and trying to play it safe, why would you build another coffee shop?
Because
two seconds around the coffee shop.
Because you see that this coffee shop is working and survives.
Okay,
so it's like
there's
it's a lot of fear to do something different. Like
I see.
Like you open up a bar downtown Asheboro, people are going to go to the bar.
Yeah.
You open up an escape room, people might not do that. There's no proof to say that people would do that. You know, I think that's part of it.
Shoot, I would.
I mean, but
But see, and that's the thing. I think that's.
But how many times would you do it?
That is true.
Probably just one time and be
And
done.
that's the other thing. Like,
I-
Asheboro is a pretty small town. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're only going to capture so much of
I live
of any market.
2 minutes away from the zoo and hardly ever go.
Yeah.
You know.
well, we've made it. I've been going to the zoo a lot.
I didn't go
this
to the zoo
year.
until I had a kid. You know what I'm saying? Like when we had
a
our,
lot this
It's been a
year.
couple years.
Yeah,
I think,
like we-
since I've been-
you should look into getting us like a membership because it's
I'm gonna
like
do it next year.
it's like about $100 and you get to go all the time.
Okay.
Every
We
day.
go there, and we can go every day. We can go 5 times a day. We go there just to walk. We go there just to go to the to the little kids play. They got a playground, got a kid zone.
Well, how about the zoo is the perfect driver to bring people here.
Yeah.
But then if you go to the zoo, say you GPS to the zoo, what else are you going to just discover? There's
Right.
nothing else
Exactly.
there. Nothing.
For me, Una Mas was a good example. Over there,
Yeah.
the Mexican restaurant that over there, CC's
Well,
used to be.
CC's, yeah, CC's.
Yeah.
Mm.
So, first of
It's a
all,
beautiful place.
when I went to CC's, I've only been to that. I only went to that CC's a couple times, but it was pretty well packed the couple times that I went. But when Una Mas came in, it was like there was a buzz about it. You know what I mean? Even before they opened the doors, you know, people were kind of like, "What's?" The same way that the Taco Bell, I think, over there that they're building over there by the Hobby Lobby or whatever it is. When people see something new being built, or when people see something new moving into a closed storefront, there's a buzz. There's like, what's that going to be? What's that going to be? And I've never seen it actually captured. Like, I've never seen people's buzz actually be rewarded. And Una Mas is the closest thing to where it's like, what's that going to be? What's that going to be? Oh, it's a new Mexican restaurant. Like, this is, and they have, a slightly younger vibe. You can stop that. I think you can just slide it. Yeah. All right, thanks.
You been filming the whole time?
No, I was taking pictures, but I
gotcha,
being
gotcha.
stopped. That was
was
actually
good
the
if it
9
was.
o'clock. That was the
9 o'clock.
Yeah.
bedtime.
Okay.
Okay, that's for him, so he should be going to bed soon. So yeah, so now that alarm's going off, I would be like, yeah, so go ahead and turn on your music. He's got like music that he plays, and I'd be getting him in the bed, and then once he doesn't take long to doze off, and then after that, I'm like, okay,
Grind
what's
time.
on the to-do list? You know what I mean? What can I check off the list
Yeah.
before I doze off? But yeah, but with Asheboro, I think there's a certain level of just energy that people want and that they're looking for, and that they would probably even move here for, but it's just non-existent. You know what I mean? So when you see some place being built, you start like, what's that going to be? Are they going to move Dario closer at least? You know what I'm saying? Instead of being across town? No, it's going to be a Taco Bell, or it's going to be a dentist office, or, like the mall. I think the mall is a good example of missed opportunity. Like there's that little new outcropping or whatever that they built over there where Wendy's in that area.
Yeah.
And there's those buildings, and it's like, okay, this is right here by the mall. This has got to be at least like a freaking Chuck E. Cheese for the kids or something.
Yeah.
And then it's like a dentist office or something. And it's like,
And
nobody's going to the
and
mall for the
yeah.
dentist,
Yeah.
bro.
And the PNC Bank, man.
Like, come on, man.
Yeah.
Y'all are missing these opportunities, And I think the reason you're losing a lot of people in the city, because you're not giving people anything to look forward to. People are you're gonna be 7, and then, you're going to go to school and everything, and that's going to be your life, and then you're going to turn 18 and graduate, and it's going to be like, well, am I going to stay here and get a factory job?
Yeah.
Or,
Right.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're going to move to Charlotte and get a cool tech job, and you know what I mean? So,
And that's what people do, the people in power do not understand that. The people that are making these decisions do not understand that, and they'll just say, well, if they don't want, like, this is, I've been in commissioner meetings and I've seen it firsthand. They're like, if they want to leave, just leave. And that goes from any kind of reason, from because there's not enough opportunities, there's not enough innovation, there's not enough, turning edge technology. There's not enough
transportation.
acceptance.
Yeah.
Acceptance for cultures.
It's not even a diverse cuisine. You know what I mean?
that's
Like
true.
you got the same burger joints and mom and pop spots. You know what I mean? It's-
When I don't know if there was a meme that circulated a few years back that was like, "This is what America looks like," and it was like an exit with gas
Yeah,
stations
and
fast food.
McDonald's
That's
and
Dixie
Exxon.
Drive.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean,
oh,
that's
yeah.
Dixie Drive.
Yeah.
You know,
It is, and that's where we migrate to, because we are familiar with it. It's fast, it's easy, and we've grown up here knowing that. So like the next generation's still going to grow up knowing that.
right?
There is more of a downtown now than there was, but still a lot of people do not feel welcome downtown. And that's still a factor.
Yeah.
And I can see it in downtown. There's opportunity. Like there's a lot of opportunity in Asheboro. I look around and you see when some place opens downtown and it's a cool spot. Like what's the Caribbean Asian place that just opened up?
Hut.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's a buzz around places like that, and then people go and see what it's about and check it out and get the food, and you lose the buzz when you have, coming soon. Oh, what's coming soon? And then it's like,
An orthodontist.
right, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
J&J's optometrist, like nobody cares. You know what I mean? Nobody.
I like to think there's like 3 people who are like, yeah,
Right, you know what
Yes.
The one that got hired.
yeah.
I mean? Right. The
one that
owner,
built
because
the
he's
shit.
opening the building.
The one
Yeah.
that built
And the
shit.
owner's
Hey,
wife.
baby, I built it.
Yeah.
And the old guy that had to go across
Yep.
town for it before, and now he can go right up the street.
But you
Well,
see,
yeah.
I mean, really, I think it ties back to people are so afraid to take a risk. I mean,
Yeah.
how you talk
Yeah.
about Big Buzz, Sticky Fingers Vinyl had that big sign out front, and how long was it there? 8 months, and it was gone.
Where was that at?
Exactly, it was right downtown, right downtown.
No, like
Here?
Yes, here,
Really?
and had a big gecko,
Yeah.
big
Oh,
neon light,
oh.
Sticky Fingers.
I thought you meant vinyl records.
No,
Like,
it was
but
some
yeah.
stickers, I guess.
Yeah.
But I never went in there. I never
Yeah.
went in there.
No.
But again,
Yeah.
it was like, wow, look at this brand new thing. Really cool. Gone.
Yeah.
8 months gone.
Do you know why that was gone?
No.
There's several reasons, but a big reason is because people didn't like the fucking frog.
Really.
The older people, they did not like it. There was like, you can see if you go on any kind of community group page on Facebook, the
Oh,
fucking
man.
amounts of people that hate shit.
Well, you
I
can-
just
there
joined
was
one.
people I saw you asking something about the hamburger.
The best burger? Yeah.
I didn't see anything, but I saw 100
Pawpaws.
comments.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
didn't
yeah.
read any comment.
All of them were Pawpaws.
Hey man, Paw Paw's
Lucky's.
hamburger's pretty damn good.
They're-
Lucky's pretty damn good.
And I said on the page, I said under that post, I was like, Pawpaw's burger is good, but where they lost me is where they said best burger in town, and it's not. Because I like
Did
Jed's
anybody-
burger better. I like Lucky's burgers
My mom
better.
works at
I like
Jed's.
Dario's burgers better. You say your mom works at Jed's?
Sherry Shepherd.
I like Jed's. You know what I mean? So,
Did anybody say under the bun?
yeah, somebody
Under the
said under
Bun's
the
good.
bun. They're good.
I'm just under the bun, Paw Paw's place, and Lucky's. They're also not mass chains because Dario's is amazing.
Yeah.
I love
Cookout's
Dario's.
amazing, but you
I
can
love
get them
Dario's.
in a lot of different
Yeah.
places.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Paw Paw's place.
Lucky's is really good.
Lucky's is
is
killer
good.
food.
I
It's just the
cannot
environment.
mess-
Is a little,
Yeah.
I cannot mess with Lucky's, man. That's another place that just can't
The
mess
vibe's
with. Man.
weird.
It
The
is a
vibe's weird. They
strange
treat
vibe.
their people weird. They treat
Yeah.
minorities weird. They,
Yeah.
I just
They
I
they
can't-
got their audience.
when they beat up Jackie's
that
brother
was- yep.
and Jackie's boyfriend,
Yeah,
busted their teeth out
Lord,
and all
yeah.
that.
Whoa.
yeah, that was rough.
Yeah, and then they didn't do anything about it. That was the last straw.
Yeah. Same old song and dance, you know what I mean? And it's like nobody's trying to improve. And then when people are like, hey, here's some ideas to improve, it's like, oh, we'll file those and
Yeah,
Right.
take a look at them
Right.
later.
Right.
we had this incredible opportunity during 2020. During that, people stepped up, and you thought people were going to say, "I'm going to cut this out of my business. I'm not going to worry about this, and I'm not going to do this, and this is where I'm going to dedicate my concern to." And then here they are, concerned with the money all over again. and it's just kind of heartbreaking with that.
Yeah.
So that's where my love-hate goes with that, because it's like, people, when they didn't have customers coming in, it might have been their true self out there showing us, but then when the customers are coming in, then they do what the customer wants. And then there's that whole predicament, the whole contradiction, the whole confliction with yourself as a business owner and your customers. Like we're talking about the artistry in your consumer. Like, who do you appeal to? Like, you have to find that equilibrium and that balance where you're doing true to yourself and your vision, and you're also trying to service your customer base. But you can also tell your customers, fuck yourself.
Yeah.
Or you can't. It's up to you as a person.
Yep.
And me as, and this is why I'm not, ever going to be a millionaire, because I have no problem with saying fuck you for doing this. And this is why other people are, because they're more callous and they're okay with just going ahead and saying that. And that's not to knock them at all. I'm not saying this is what people should do or not do, but if you want to empower your community, you have to draw your line somewhere, or you're just going to find the same people coming to your place and the same people leaving your place.
And I feel like, as far as ASHEBORO is concerned, you need some new people. You know what I mean? Because, like you were saying, letting everybody... People are coming of age, and it's like, if you don't want a 12-hour factory job for the next 30 years or work at the hospital, you can go. And it's like, well, what if I like ASHEBORO and I want to build, a museum?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Well, there's not really going to be a market for that. Well, why not? Because the powers that be are going to get there, and they're going to poo-poo it, and they're going to be in the groups, like you said, bashing it and trying to shut it down. And I feel like ASHEBORO could have a poppin' hip-hop scene, but I feel like the stigma of hip-hop around ASHEBORO is killing that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There are people of all races and classes in ASHEBORO that listen to hip-hop. You cannot ride down the street without hip-hop blaring in somebody's car.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The scene, it's right for a scene, but there's so much stigma, so it's like, when you try... Somebody is probably going to show up and try to do some harm. Somebody's got a gun. Somebody's starting to fight, something like that, which is normal in hip-hop anyway. You know what I mean? But then on top of that, because those things are normal in hip-hop, which that's sad in itself, other people are going to be like, well, I don't think we need a hip-hop scene if we don't need drive-bys every weekend, and you know what I mean? So then that turns into a whole, let's not let this happen. And then I feel like that is all encompassing, not even just hip hop. You know what I mean? Why would we have, a cool dance club, even if it's like a honky tonk line dancing club? Like, why would we put this here if there's a chance that it could? Because remember, we put that hip hop club down there and that, but this is like two totally different genres and two totally different types of people that are going to be. We don't care. It's all an outing. We're gonna,
I think a line dancing type club would
do good.
Blow up here.
Well, see,
blow here.
All right, one last break in this episode of ASHEBORO Undecided. We want to talk to you as a business owner, you as a content creator, you as a artist. If you have a business, a product, an idea that you would like to get out to our audience, please contact us. This is an opportunity we're giving at the end of this season. We're giving away 5 slots similar to this. Quick 30 seconds. Either we're going to shout you out or figure out a way to do it once we talk to you and figure out your business, your product, or your art. So please contact us at asheboroundecided@hotmail.com. There used to be one at Planet Fitness over there.
There was a club out there.
Yeah, wherever on the top of the hill by the Ford garage, there was something there that was like, it was just a big club.
Yeah.
And then people in ASHEBORO will be people in ASHEBORO.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have to drive 30 more minutes down the road, so they're going to get extra drunk.
Yeah.
Because they don't have to drive that far, and they're going to be extra ignorant with it. I mean, there's that growing pains, because it's 2007 when we got alcohol. It's still fairly new to
I
people.
didn't know that.
Yeah, I mean,
this was dry.
It was dry up until that's why I was always, me as an MC, I was always doing shows in Charlotte,
Yeah.
Raleigh,
Right.
Durham,
Right.
Roanoke. Like I was doing shows everywhere else but here because there was not anything here. So that's why I've got good relationships with people everywhere else
Right.
but here. And then when we get it here, people invite us to do these shows here, and then they don't like they don't like it. They don't like
They don't
it.
like the vibe. That's all
They
it
don't
is.
like the vibe. And even if it can go off without a hitch, and I can promise, like, look, this will go off without a hitch. We can hire extra security if you feel that way, and then we do it.
Yeah, you might
and
get
it's
a one
good.
and done.
And then, unfortunately, the places that want to do things with us, like Lumina, it's so fucking tiny. It's like doing a show here. You know, the people that want to extend their arms and like no matter what they want to do. So we have to find other ways to do things at Lumina, like listening parties and things like that. But like when it comes to like true hip hop, there's not there's not a scene here. So we can either try to create the scene, which we kind of tried to at Zoo City, which turned into whatever we did that last show at.
And what was it called? That's closed down now.
Yeah, whatever that was. Which,
City Lights.
City Lights, and like a week after we did the show, somebody got shot there. And then that's too far out. So people feel a little bit more loose to do whatever the fuck they want to do. It's got to be around other things. We did shows at Taco Loco Cantina. That did really good. But there's still not enough room.
Are they still downtown? Did they?
Yeah.
I remember they were over.
So
combined
they got a
that
one in the
comic book
corner,
spot
and then
was.
they got the cantina in the back.
Yeah.
Okay.
You got to go, man. Like but it's just like you said, it should be popping here, and it just won't pop because of whatever.
I think it's prime here. I think I think there are a lot of people that just want something cool. You know what I mean? And it doesn't even if it's not hip hop, or even if it's not even music.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? People just want something in town that's awesome. Like, you know how many times I just wish there was like a Chuck E. Cheese that I could take my kid to instead of trying to figure out where we're going to go today, the park, the library, the zoo.
Yeah, that's it.
Wendy's. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I really, because that's what we do. We go to the Science Center because we are members up there too. But that gas eats it up anymore. Like it's just, it's tough because you don't have any way to do anything here. The arcade is like subpar at the mall.
My son loves the arcade though because it's something to do.
But
you know what I mean?
But it's
you're
like
right.
6 games.
Well, there's about 20 in here, but still it's subpar. But like the kids right now, after about 6 or 7 times, they're gonna not really love it.
Yeah.
But that's what we got a guest coming in next week that's hopefully trying to change stuff like that. He sets up different things for the kids, but it would probably be in the same areas. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What happened to the Bounce House place? They closed in 2020 over
The
there
one at
by the
49?
sheriff's department, I think.
Yeah.
They went.
closed,
I went
yeah.
there. I took my son to a couple birthday parties there. Over the past few
Yeah.
years. That was a cool idea.
Yeah.
I had
Was it like a trampoline spot?
Yeah, well, it was like they had a bunch of bounce houses, but like indoors. So there are like 6 or 7 bounce houses. I forgot what it was called. Bounce.
But see, there's someone trying something new and it went under.
Right.
And so
And it
it,
was
makes
cool.
everybody gun shy. you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah.
that place stayed open for
Yeah, they were open for a while.
it was a very
I
long
gotta
time.
step back there.
Yeah. No doubt. Do what you got to do. I'm kind of
I'm about
leaning
to
to
give you a lap
I'm
dance.
yeah, he good. I would love that. Yeah, we'll wrap this up too.
Yeah.
You good on time and everything?
Yeah, I'm good.
Since our second guest isn't gonna come, we're talking. We're kind of still learning everything. You know what I'm saying?
The flow. I like
the
it,
flow, the flow, and just trying to talk different than your usual podcast.
Q&A interview
Yeah,
type.
Q&A. But still,
I like it.
like, you know, once we get into the groove, invite you back and like really know how to maneuver more difficult situations and questions. Because like really, I wanted to point blank ask certain things about your time at the hospital because like there's really like a level of how people talk to people there.
So, okay, so for me as an employee in general, no matter where, I have a certain level of detachment.
Yeah.
And I let it be known. I'm a team player. I'm here to work. but I'm not here to make friends. Okay, we're not cool. Like, we can talk about movies, sports, cartoons, what your kid did over the weekend. Fantastic, but when I leave from here, I don't give a fuck about you or what you got going on. And I literally at the hospital, I let it be known. At the hospital, I literally, on the security team, there were times where I was literally in the office with like 4 to 6 other guards, and I'm like, listen, I'm here to make money, not friends. As long as my paycheck comes on Friday, I'll be here on Monday.
Yeah.
If I don't get paid on Friday, you best believe I won't be back until I get that paycheck. Like, and if I ever quit or get fired from this place, I'll forget every last one of you before the end of the week, and it's already Thursday. Like, I've literally said these words verbatim to these people as they're sitting here. I'm here to work. I'm a team player. I'm not here for the gossip. I'm not here for the family gatherings, whatever you got going on outside of here. That's between you and your people. I got my thing going on. You know what I mean? I make that known. You know what I mean? And I'm not an asshole about it. You know what I mean? I talk to everybody when I come in. Hey, good morning. How you doing? How was your weekend? Did you see the new movie that came out? Blah, blah, blah. Like, we could chit chat and talk, but we're not friends. You know what I mean? And some people are off-put, but that's fine. And so then when the BS starts popping up, which inevitably it did, you know, people, especially with security, like, people will throw other people under the bus if they feel like it'll save their ass.
Oh, every time.
You know what I mean?
Every single time. Yeah.
And there probably was a time or two where they tried to throw me under the bus, and I'm like, I'm not having it. Like, I'm not vouching for anybody. I'm not taking anything from anybody. I'm not, you know what I mean? And at the end of the day, what always protects me in these situations is that I get the job done. You know what I mean? The supervisor up there, Rolanda at the time, you know what I mean? She was up my ass all the time about my phone, about me drawing, about me, you know, doing anything but patrolling back and forth in that tiny space that was the TU. You know what I mean? For no other fucking reason. And she would bust my chops. But when there was reviews coming up, when joint commissions would come in, there were a time or two where she pulled me to the side and she was like, you know, they were really impressed that you knew your job and that you knew how to handle things and de-escalate this, that, and the third. I know some of the sitters that were there were always like, we prefer when you're here over the other guards. We just feel safer. You know, we like for you to be here. We like when you're coming in. And you know what I mean? Like, so at the end of the day, you can be mad if I'm tardy. You can be mad if I don't want to come to the Christmas party. You can be mad if I don't want to take selfies with you. You know what I mean? But the job gets done.
Right.
We don't have a bunch of patients running around crazy. If something goes down, you can count on me to handle it. I'm not calling for backup every 5 minutes. You know what I mean? And that's kind of my saving grace when it comes to work in general. So that's kind of why I don't have a lot of crazy stories. You know what I mean? There were times where people tried to kind of put my name into it, but there's not really much you can. It's not like I'm even stealing office supplies. You know what I mean?
Did they try to say you were?
No, I mean, I honestly don't know 100% of who, what, when, where. When things were brought to me, it was always something that kind of would be like a flare and then fizzle because there's no substance. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like, well, Chris said, and then it's like, no, Chris didn't say that because this is what actually happened. And then there was usually some kind of written proof or camera proof or corroborating witness or something like that. So like it would try to be, but by the time it got back to me, it was already kind of dying down because I'm here to make money, not friends. You know what I mean?
Thankfully, I've been similar to the same way as you. The last job that I've had here in town was a teacher, and that's how I said to everybody else, I'm coming into my job, I'm doing this, and I'm leaving. And essentially, you get removed from the situation somehow because of that. Somehow they just don't like that, and you get you know every time, like
that was so.
You get found out. Something gets found out about you that shouldn't hinder your relationship with your work experience.
In my experience, going back specifically with the hospital, in my experience, it was tardies. That's how they got me. They couldn't get me for not doing the job properly. They couldn't get me for not filling out the reports properly. They couldn't get me for not handling the patients properly. You couldn't get me for gossiping because I barely talk to anybody. You could, like, the stuff that you would normally get somebody for. Well, is he calling out of work? No. You know what I mean? Is he leaving early? No. A lot of times I'd be leaving late because I'm waiting for my coverage to pull up. But they got me because I would be late, and they had like an 8-minute grace period.
But your coverage was late.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think what really tipped the scales for me is when they were switching from, because I was working 8 hours when I first started, and that was like, I had a set schedule. You know what I mean? And then they started going to, they were switching everybody to 12 hours rotating. So, you know, 1 week you do 12 hours, like Monday, Wednesday, blah, 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 and then you switch, and you know what I mean? Yeah. And I was telling them, and I was still willing to work even, but I was telling them, I was like, you know, I have a son that's going to be really hard to do. I have people that can help me watch him sometimes, but not every single day that you want, and then especially not on this swing shift, you know what I mean? Like, I have other people, but they have lives as well and jobs and such. And so I talked to them about it, and, you know, as time went on and we kept having that conversation, and I'm like, you know, I'm willing to try and stick it out. That's when they started really nitpicking about the couple minutes here, couple minutes there that I was coming in late. And there was nothing else you can nitpick about. I mean, I would be on my phone. You can nitpick about that a little bit, but then when something went down, I was Johnny on the spot. If you needed assistance with a patient, if you needed me to just get fucking paper towels out of the bathroom so you could clean up a spill, I was there. You know what I mean? I would take my lunch break on time. I'd come back on time. I didn't bother anybody. I didn't take anything. I didn't hurt anybody. Even when patients were, there was one time where there was this one old guy and he had dementia or something like that. And even though he was old, he was a strong guy. He said he like grew up on the farm and everything, so he was a, you know, good sized guy. But he was an older guy, 70s, 80s, dementia. And I'm up there, and he's starting to get riled up, and I'm trying to talk him down. And literally at some point, he like had his hands around my neck. You know what I mean? And I'm still like, you know, let's calm it, like trying to de-escalate or whatever, because I'm like, I don't want to slam this old man that's not going to remember why he's on the floor in 5 minutes. You know what I mean? I'm trying to be. So I wound up calling for backup, and we all get him down, and they wound up having to sedate him and stuff because he kept getting increasingly ramped up and everything. Situations like that, where I had situations like that arrive, I would always get, you know, commended for handling it properly, you know what I mean? Because a lot of guys would have just leaned on his ass, you know what I mean? But I would try to de-escalate and handle the situation the way I was trained to handle the situation. And I always got praised for that. But, you know, when they I guess when they want you out, they want you out. You know what I mean?
So that's
you find something.
Another way I was tiptoeing around that. Like, that's what I feel like in Asheboro it is. And it may be that way everywhere around the world. I don't know. But I just know that in that situation, that would be that's what they do here. Like, that's what they do here. Yeah. They don't like you. And to me, like, it just depends. Like, you got to dig. Like, what is the reason they don't like you? Is it because you don't want to be around them, or is it because of something else? You know, and you'll never know that. But as long as if that's the way you want to address your career, which is very similar to what I do, is just like, I'm here to do this and I'm done.
Trying to get the work done. That's it. You know what I mean?
But I think even if you were like the best friends of it, they will always want to find something at that point to get.
That was why I didn't want to be friends. You know what I mean? That was why I didn't want to be, because it all seemed like I didn't get a lot of the BS. That doesn't mean I didn't see a lot of the BS. Such and such, backstabbing such and such, throwing such and such under the bus to the supervisors, and somebody snitching on this every day, like every single day.
I think a big part of that is you were working in healthcare.
Mm-hmm.
That's healthcare.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was from 2020 to recently, within the last, what's it been, 2 months now?
Yeah. I
was working healthcare.
Mm-hmm.
And my fiance, she's been in healthcare for like 12 years. That's what it is.
Same thing,
it's very, and teaching would be the same way, you know, very drama oriented.
I used to tell people it's like an episode of Scrubs without the comedy. You know what I
mean?
mean?
No comedy. No comedy. But healthcare is very much like that. And you want to mind your business. You try so hard, but they're gonna find something Like
nitpick.
when I was working in a spot in Pinehurst, and when I left, like I had a good relationship with my direct team, and I didn't, humor any kind of gossip or anything like that. But when I left, I finally asked. I was like, all right, so what has everyone been saying about me since I've been here? Come to find out, I was like fucking everybody and all this shit, and I was like, I wish I had known. Like, it's just rumors and drama.
And I mean, I can see, like, there's not, there's a lot of time to pass in a setting like that.
There's shit to always be done in healthcare.
There is.
Always.
There is, but there's also a lot of time to pass.
All right, so let's make sure you got your handles, everything that you want to promote yourself.
Yeah.
And this will not be the last time we have the Fatboy on here. I was telling him while you were taking a break that we are going to invite him back after we get our wings and bearings and everything. Once we get more established and more comfortable with the settings and everything, we want to invite him back for a second time.
Definitely.
And maybe try to, maybe even be the host.
And
ask some questions. Ask some questions of some people. That's what we kind of want to do. But do your handles and everything. Make sure you holler at your favorite body part of your body of work.
Okay.
And like anything that's coming up. I know you got a whole project coming up. So,
So
that one.
Okay. So the handles, real easy. You can just start at imthefatboy.com. All correct spelling. IMTHEFATBOY.com. You can find bio, music, merch, music videos, press, artwork, pictures, press photos, all that stuff. I'mTheFatBoy.com. You can also find all my social media handles, but I try to make that easy as well. It's usually I'm the Fatboy most of the time. Instagram, I'm the Fatboy. Twitter, I'm the Fatboy. TikTok, I'm the Fatboy. The only differences are Facebook is I'm the Fatboy 2 TOO, and YouTube is I'm the Fatboy 2 TOO because those were already taken. But I'm thefatboy.com where to start. What I have coming up, starting in 2023, I got an EP with dope producer named B Parker. It's a joint EP, 4 tracks so far. We might add a 5th one. We're still working on it. But it's called It Could All Be So Simple. It's the first couple joints. The first joint is actually done. It's called Cannonball. And for this project, I actually went a little more like smooth groove. Like I know with like the past joints, I've been doing kind of more modern rap, the fast flows and that kind of thing. So with this one, I kind of took it back to the roots, and it's a vibe more than anything. You know what I mean? So Cannonball, the actual first single from It Could All Be So Simple, is called Energizer, and for lack of a better phrase, it's a sex song. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna be it's dope. After that,
he likes those.
Keep going and going. There's the Energizer. I got you.
Right.
I got you. All right.
And then my album, The Cook Up, it's actually a joint album as well with the chef. And it's actually more his album than mine. He's done like mixing, mastering, produced all but one beat. He shot one of the music videos. He actually paid for a couple of the features on there. Like he's been doing most of the heavy lifting as far as production goes. So it's more his project than mine. But that's the Cook Up will be coming closer to the summertime, and that's the project that has One Night in Baton Rouge, Cuban, Baguette, Dog is on there. So that's already 4 songs on there that already have videos out now. But then there are 6 other songs that aren't even released on there. So it's a 10-track album. I got 2 other videos in the works for that one. And then closer to the end of the year, we got The Heist, which is another EP. And J Hood from D Block is going to be on that one.
He was on the
One Night in Baton Rouge. Yeah, it was actually not long after that when he hit me up. He was like, "I was listening to some of your stuff, and do you want to do an EP?" You know what I mean? So
I always looked up to him.
Yeah, oh yeah, hell yeah. It's definitely definitely surreal. You know what I mean? Because I used to listen to his mixtapes and shit in the whip,
Yeah.
riding with the homies. You know, in high school.
Yeah.
So that's definitely a big one.
The Mighty Mighty D Block song.
Mhm.
Like when it came on at the J Hook.
Yeah, 2 guns up.
Yeah.
So yeah, like this is definitely major. Shout out to Ty Marshall for having me on. You know what I mean? Asheboro Undecided. I had a great time. This is a great platform. Y'all keep doing the thing. You know what I mean? And Asheboro, we love you. Okay? We love y'all. We love us. You know what I mean? Tighten up.
Yeah.
Don't break our hearts here, man.
Right.
Don't make me leave with my kids.
Help us.
Go somewhere else.
Help us help you.
Help us help you help us.
Yeah.
Help.
That's perfect. That's
Oh man, thank you, the Fatboy. I guess it will soon be fat.
Yeah.